Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Tuesday, February 17th Board of Education meeting. We have just returned from closed session and there were no actions taken. Ms. Torres, would you please lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all. Member Aguiano, would you please read our meeting practices?
Yes, I would. Thank you. Board meeting guidelines. We will keep our focus on the best interests of our students. We will work towards that future, learning from the past. We will stay focused on our goals and avoid getting sidetracked. We will build upon the ideas of others and look for common ground. We will paraphrase for understanding. When we will have differences of an opinion, we will debate the facts of the situation and avoid personal criticism. We will address processes, not persons. We will respect differences. We will never dismiss or devaluate others.
Thank you. Next, I would entertain an approval of the agenda unless there is someone that would like to pull an agenda item. Seeing none?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
Just a quick comment. There was an error earlier today that we noticed on the agenda that wasn't there when we posted the agenda. We did move an item back for reductions down to the appropriate place, which was under new business. And so I just want to let you know there was some sort of error, some sort of glitch within board docs that we can't explain because when we posted it was one way and this morning it showed up looking a little bit different. I'm not quite sure why that is. But
So
we corrected it so it aligns with the agenda that was posted.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Member Block made the motion and Member Anguiano seconded.
Second.
Please vote. Ms. Torres, did you vote? How do you vote? She votes yes. Okay. So we have 6 ayes. Ms. Jasleen is voting yes. Okay, next we move on to the emergency resolution update. Superintendent?
Thank you. This evening, our director of MOT is on vacation, and so I'm going to be sharing the update with you. As of 2/10, we have 99 units that are at Newark Memorial High School that have been installed. So we're excited about that. I want to make sure that you're aware of that. And then the 111 for non-classrooms that have been put into place. Since our last meeting. So kind of exciting that we're moving along and we're getting down to just the final few to be able to close out this resolution soon.
Thank you. So may I have a motion to recommend that the Board of Education continue Resolution 2024.25.09, declaring an emergency that requires the procurement of construction services for emergency abatement and repair or replacement work without competitive bidding.
I'll make a motion. Second.
I'll second.
Okay. Member Jones makes a motion. Member Block seconds. Please vote. Okay. Board Member Torres, do you vote yes? Yeah.
What is your vote? Not do you vote yes?
Yes. Okay. And Mr. Hill abstains, otherwise there's 4 ayes. Thank you.
Five ayes.
Five ayes is correct. Yeah, one abstention. So next we move on to our student board member for your report.
Okay. Good evening, board members, executive cabinet, staff, students, and New York community. So here are our most recent updates from New York Memorial. The Northern District of California Civics Contest is currently open with entries due March 6th, offering scholarship prizes for student essays or videos. Additionally, the New York Community Scholarship application is now open for our graduating seniors with a deadline of April 10th. So for any of those in our community that have any seniors, those are some good scholarships, or if you know anybody, be sure to apply to those. For our testing, juniors will have the opportunity to take the in-school digital SAT on March 20th with the registration currently open. In student activities, the Jazz Hot will take place this Saturday in the Commons and is currently seeking student volunteers. The class of 2029 will also host a fundraiser at the Kebab Shop on February 19th to support their class activities. New York Memorial will be hosting the Special Olympics this Friday, which is a basketball tournament that brings together students with special needs for inclusive athletic competition. In our athletics as well, our varsity girls soccer team was crowned Mission Valley Athletic League co-champions, and our varsity boys soccer team finished undefeated to claim the Mission Valley Athletic League championship, which is a big congratulations to both of our teams at Memorial. And as a reminder for our seniors, Grad Night at Disney is scheduled for May 17th, and cap and gown pickup is available in the activities office. But that is all for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will be moving on to the school spotlight, and before we do have someone that would like to speak on that.
We have employee organizations.
I'm sorry, you're right. Employee organizations. NTA? Where's the school spotlight? Where's the school spotlight? 9.1.
Aloha school board members and members of the Newark community, and happy NTA Sunshine Day. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Rachel Bloom. I have been an enthusiastic and engaging elementary school science teacher in NUSD for over a decade. This year, I am serving as president of the Ohana, known as the Newark Teachers Association. For those of you that missed my last address to the school board on February 11th, I will summarize it for you. The executive cabinet concocted a fiscal resources alignment plan that did very little to align the district's economic resources to its goals. The plan did not take into account the individual needs of sites, the needs and wants of the Newark community, possible legal repercussions, or operational deficiencies the plan would create. Fortunately, school board members did their job to represent their constituents. They called BS on the executive cabinet, board members asked questions, and we all saw how the plan wasn't a real plan at all. The executive cabinet's flail panic of a plan was to suggest cutting personnel with no proposals in place on how to maintain operations despite having fewer people in critical positions. Now, fast forward 6 days. Here we are on February 17th, and we are about to be subjected to another plan from the executive cabinet. This time, in the form of a resolution of intention to terminate certificated employees due to a reduction of particular kinds of services. In layman's terms, the resolution is about laying off Newark educators, the people in the trenches that work each and every day to create the schools that our students deserve. But okay, it kind of makes sense, right? After all, unless you live under a rock or just got back from a deserted island, you know that NUSD is experiencing declining enrollment. Fewer students means you need fewer educators. Totally fair. But here's the thing. Once again, a major item was added to the agenda and elected NTA leadership received no communication. Tonight is the first and only opportunity we have had to speak up. You, our elected school board members, are the only ones that have a voice tonight, which means tonight you have a great responsibility. I would like to challenge you to do what you did last meeting. Be curious, demand numbers. Eschew attempts to gloss over details. Do not accept generalizations. Insist on data. Ask questions. How did you calculate the FTE reduction for PE teachers? A secondary PE teacher sees at least 150 students a week. Are you telling me over 100 fewer students at the secondary level are going to need PE classes next year? A reduction of 2.8 FTE in Spanish teachers. How will that affect class sizes? How can students learn another language in overflowing classes? Will there be enough spaces for students to complete A through G requirements? 1.5 FTE worth of elementary science teachers can provide science instruction for as many as 20 plus elementary classes. We know our capture rate in NUSD is nauseating, but have we really lost enough elementary school classes that we need to reduce by 1.5 FTE? We are paying exorbitant amounts of money to special education contractors because we can't staff special education positions. You're telling me that right now we have 2.0 FTE more special educators than we need? Are you expecting students with IEPs to be raptured over the summer? Who came up with these numbers? How were they calculated? And now this. Taking away 2 mild moderate SDC teachers. What is the plan? I don't even have this written down because it was literally in front of us 20 minutes ago. What is the plan? Are they going to end SDC TK and mainstream everyone? They're going to need to retest all of those students to make sure it's an appropriate, free and appropriate public education for those students. And then at the end of the year, they're going to need to reassess all those students again to make sure they're in the right placement. Will they be mainstreaming other students in maybe the higher grades? Again, what assessments are there to show that these students should be mainstreamed? I mean, I've never been anywhere where there are people in a district office that give such 0 Fs about the students. I am so sick of it. So school board members, do not allow executive cabinet members to make you fear for our fiscal future. Do not allow them to dump their annual "the sky is falling" routine on you. That cycle is getting really old. At the end of each year, we lay off and lose people, and then are left scrambling to staff positions before school starts. It's a disservice to educators that deserve to be treated as professionals and with dignity and respect. It's a disservice to our students who thrive on consistency. School board members that are looking at their phones, thank you. School board members, when members of the executive cabinet speak to you today, do what you did at the last meeting. Remain vigilant. Do not accept what they have to say at face value. Be curious, ask questions, demand professionalism, and if they don't act in a professional manner that treats educators with dignity and respect, such as how to non-reelect notification for NTA members happened last week, insist they fix their mistakes and make it right. You all set the tone. What you all demand is what NUSD will become. Demand honesty, integrity, transparency, and professionalism. require executive cabinet members to treat NTA and CSEA members with dignity and respect. Make the choice and take the action to help create the schools that Newark students in our community deserve. Thank you.
Thank you. CSEA.
Hello, members of the board, staff, and community. Again, my name is Sarah Kieser. I'm the CSEA Vice President and a member of the CSEA negotiating team. Tonight, again, you're being asked to review a plan to reduce positions without a clear explanation of the change in services. Although we thank you for hearing us and for making adjustments to the plan, you're continuing to lay off many positions that are needed for the district. According to ChatGPT, which I did not write my speech with, by the way, a budget reduction plan for a public school district should be more than a list of cuts. It's a transparent, values-driven roadmap that protects students while restoring financial stability. This plan still lacks that information. For example, there is no clear purpose or financial context. I'm sorry, Ms. Jones, am I boring you? No, I'm taking notes and Okay. listening. Thank you. The stakeholder engagement was a joke, given the very little communication between the district, CSEA, and NTA leadership. CSEA was notified the day before the agenda was posted, just because they didn't want to be surprised. They didn't want there to be a surprise when it was posted on the website. This is not clear communication. It blindsides people without time to react or ask questions. The communication was a list of positions that was not even comprehensive. There's supposed to be a detailed financial analysis explaining the difference between restricted and unrestricted funds. Exactly how is $1.5 million in various positions a detailed financial analysis? Again, no equity and impact analysis, no consideration of student impact, and no implementation plan was given. Your HR, superintendent, and fellow board members are voting to lay off positions without even knowing what they do or where they belong. At the last board meeting, Member Jones incorrectly thanked Michelle from our IMC department multiple times for the great work that she does while speaking about our offset press operator position. This position, along with Michelle, belongs to our graphic arts department. For those of you who did not know the members of our departments, that was not at all clear. How are we to trust that the justifications for the eliminations are valid when it was shown that there's a lack of knowledge when it comes to departments, roles, and job duties? Then it was overheard they sit around and do nothing when discussing our IMC clerk layoffs. Are you serious? Member Jones, as a teacher, you relied on the IMC department to ensure you received all of your instructional materials promptly. Our equipment mechanic saved the district money by providing on-site services for most of our vehicles, including mowers, blowers, scrubbers, and other small equipment for our staff to use to keep the district running. The duties of the human resources clerk will be pushed on to other CSEA members, increasing their workload without any change to their compensation, under the assumption that they will take on these existing responsibilities without complaint, since they're classified employees and we just do whatever anyone wants us to do. I'm unclear how our district thinks there's been a reduction in facility usage, which is a justification for some of these eliminations. Our grounds workers still have to care for those 2 sites that you closed several years ago, which the district refuses to do anything with. Do you think the grass magically stopped growing since we stopped using music and snow? Or maybe there are no more weeds because no one's using that facility. While student enrollment has declined, it does not equate to a reduction in workload for our custodial staff. Our custodial staff is still responsible for cleaning the same number of classrooms and facilities throughout the middle and high schools. Stating there are a few touch points is just naive. A clarification of the office manager position is necessary. There are 2 separate positions located at McGregor. Our alternative high school employee works diligently to continually enroll and disenroll students who are moving between New York Memorial, Bridgepoint, and Crossroads. She is also the main point of contact for parents and students during this day, setting up intake meetings for potential new students in these programs. Schools. They are WASC accredited schools. Our students at this site often have separate graduation dates due to their different requirements. Speaking of Crossroads, Crossroads is a school that you're choosing to close, thereby limiting the options for our students, the ones who we are here to focus on, supposedly. Some students rely on the Crossroads Independent Study School for their education. This is not a program, but a school that provides the necessary ADA that you state we are constantly losing out on. Was any data reviewed that compared the cost of the Crossroads teacher to the ADA the Crossroads school brings in to justify that the Crossroads teacher was not needed due to the lack of funds, especially after you continue to limit that school enrollment? Our adult school office manager runs a separate school with a grant fund that allows her to expand her ongoing program. This position is significantly different from any other office manager position in the district and does not align with the TK-12 regular district duties. The adult school is an ever-increasing program, especially during these trying times. The administrative secretary position that you're eliminating was created at the end of the 2024-25 school year to assist with the district Medi-Cal billing program. This was a plan to bring in an additional $200,000 in planned revenue for the district. Yes, the position has been vacant for most of the year since October in 2025, and the district has not received any of the Medi-Cal funding. It would have received if you had bothered to fill it as you promised, because no one's been there. If the district took the medical billing program seriously, the program would cover the cost of that position and then some. The driver position that you are eliminating should not be considered a cost saving for the district because it only affects child nutrition, which is a separately funded program, and it has nothing to do with the general fund. You still have $1.5 million in various positions and no explanation. Last week, you were told that the positions being discussed are included in that $1.5 million, yet it's still counted twice. So there's something wrong with this math. The budget that you're trying to right-size continues to baffle everyone. Even our superintendent doesn't believe this makes sense. At the December 10th, 2025 board meeting, during her concluding comments, Superintendent Backer stated, "Quite frankly, the budget's not real." Let me just tell you that right now. Let me repeat that. The budget's not real. It's only as good as our crystal ball and radar in what we listen to. And after we create the budget, then we chase some money for the rest of the year and hope that what we said we were going to do for a budget, we actually find that money. So in many ways, what the state gives us to play with, what the federal government gives us to play with, is make-believe money that we constantly chase. I want to repeat that one more time. The budget's not real. The budget is only as real as what we came up with and what our best guess is. In the meantime, we chase it and we adjust it. And it really feels uncomfortable, and it probably feels even more uncomfortable for you and uncomfortable for those who are watching it and trying to understand, how come that doesn't match up with what you did here? And how come it doesn't match up with what you did there? So the budget last year wasn't real either. It was all based on assumption, folks. So let me put that out there, and let's just be really, really real about this, because the state has yet to give us a real budget every year that we get to work with. We have to make it up based on the assumptions of what they will tell us is going to make up our budget sections, and then what our carryovers are that come with it. We do have to continue to navigate savings and still live within our means. There will be some difficult decisions that happen this coming spring as we go off and navigate that. We're going to have to sit there and have those discussions. With saying that, though, I will tell you the district has done an extraordinary job of right-sizing their budget so that you can make the decisions and be in the driver's seat that you're in today. Even your superintendent doesn't believe what she's trying to sell us about this budget. That alone should signal that the plan warrants deeper scrutiny and clearer justification. Again, you continue to be blinded by blanket statements that lack a clear plan or explanation of their reasoning. Look at the disaster of the layoff plan from last year. Not only did you end up having to review multiple versions of the layoff recommendations, but many of the positions were not even correctly identified through the process. Why does the district continue to focus reductions almost exclusively on CSBA and NTA positions, while management positions remain barely examined and largely untouched? As NTA President Ms. Bloom stated at the special board meeting last week on February 11th, 2026, we have at least 9 management employees listed on the district website who are not even known by any of the CSEA and NTA members at the school sites they are supposed to be supporting. If we are truly evaluating staffing through the lens of fiscal responsibility and operational necessity, then the review must be comprehensive. It cannot disproportionately target frontline staff while overlooking management structures. A fair and credible process requires examining all levels of the organization with the same level of scrutiny. You continue to cite a lack of work and funding, yet the number of contracted employees appears to increase regularly. This raises a fundamental question. If there's enough funding to sustain ongoing contracted services, why are we not prioritizing hiring and retaining district employees instead? You, as the board, are supposed to require clear documentation demonstrating that contracted work is clearly temporary, specialized, or emergency-based, and not a replacement for laid-off employees. CSEA and NTA positions are reduced each year, but based on these numbers in the presentation, staffing is not the main driver of increased expenditures. The new procurement manager position was justified as one that would save over $1 million in its first year. Still, the expenditures do not reflect these savings, as this year's expenditures are estimated to be $7.5 million higher than last year. The comprehensive fiscal realignment plan that should have been presented should also include things like reducing budget for things like food incentives or parties, limiting conferences to ones that don't have flights or overnight stays, and looking at contracts that are coming up for renewal and determining if they are necessary or if they can be renegotiated at a lower rate. There needs to be a comprehensive budget reduction plan. You continue to prioritize cuts to staff rather than to operations, materials, and supplies. Why are we sending staff to a conference in San Francisco and paying for them to stay overnight? Staff members will attend the California Association of Bilingual Education Conference in San Francisco, March 4th through 7th of 2026. Instead of asking our staff members to carpool and reimburse mileage, we're offering to pay for 9 of them to stay at the conference hotel at the full room rate, since no rooms are available at the conference's discounted rate. While I do not begrudge our staff the opportunity to improve, this conference is for a program we no longer offer at NUSD, as our bilingual program was closed during the 24-25 school year. Not only that, it focuses only on the teachers and principals, plus our superintendent, who will not even be here for the new school year. Why are we spending money on someone who will no longer be employed with the district in a few months? Expenses like this should be reviewed before you cut the staff that serve the students you claim to prioritize. Meanwhile, the CSEA staff are limited in their training opportunities for topics that do not pertain to their actual job duties because the district does not deem them important enough to remember, so training is often an afterthought thrown together at the last minute. Thank you.
NUMA? I'm not going to forget you this time.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Good evening, President Thomas, board members, and executive cabinet. My name is Jody, and I am the secretary to the NUMA board. We appreciate the opportunity to provide you with a NUMA update. We know that this is a difficult time for the Newark community, for staff and board members facing and making challenging decisions, and for those affected by them. NUMA remains aligned with district goals and committed to providing the support in every way possible. One way that we will continue our support is by our hard work and dedication to our students and their families. We remain focused on providing services and the supports that they need each and every day. We also continue to support our staff members, and we value the collaboration that we have with CSEA, NTA, and NUMA. By working together, we can strengthen our ability to support each other, to support our students, and to support our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, before we call and start the public the school spotlight for Lincoln, we do have a speaker that would like to speak. Sophia Cruz. Welcome.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sophia Cruz, and I am in 5th grade, and also in the Student Leadership Program. I feel very lucky to be a Lincoln Leopard. I am proud to be a Lincoln Leopard because my teachers have taught me important lessons, not only about school, but also about kindness. It has made me the person I am today. I have been a student at Lincoln for 5 years. I am lucky and happy to have a family of teachers and friends that I feel that teachers and staff care for me. They are there when I need help with schoolwork. They are friendly and make me feel happy when I'm at school. As a Lincoln Leopard, I enjoy all of the events offered during the school year. For example, I really enjoy our book fairs because I love reading and I can buy books I like. I also find cute things like notebooks and posters. Another event I enjoy as a Lincoln Leopard is the talent show at Lincoln because as students we can show off our talents. Another event I enjoy is the movie nights because I get to hang out with my friends. The qualities I plan to take with me next year include kindness, all of the things I learned this year in science, math, being courageous, and helpful. I think those qualities can help me be successful and help other classmates. Being a Lincoln Leopard has many character traits that include being kind, being safe, being honest, not being greedy, being respectful, and doing your best. Our Lincoln Leopard pledge is a great reminder of this. I'm excited for next year because I will attend middle school and learn new things. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, thank you. Next, who will be introducing Lincoln? Okay.
I'm excited for Herson Sandoval, principal of Lincoln Elementary, to share all of their efforts at their site, and also just want to thank their staff for being here this evening as well.
Thank you. Gracias, gracias. Before we get started, I just want to thank as well the community, because without the community behind me, this wouldn't have been a possibility. And this is the reason why I show up to work every day with the energy and the passion that we all bring to Lincoln. So thank you, everyone. President Jones, board members, Superintendent Vacar, and Executive Cabinet, thank you for inviting me to the spotlight at Lincoln Elementary. As a proud principal of this school, it is my honor to highlight the incredible work that is being done by the certificated and classified staff to increase student outcomes. Before I begin my presentation, I want to share that after posting the slide deck on Friday afternoon, a few data points were miscalculated and these have been changed to ensure the accuracy. However, the overall content remains the same. My name is Herson Sandoval, and I have the privilege of leading Lincoln Elementary. I'm excited to share the work our students and staff have been doing, and with this, I want to make sure that we continue our progress forward. Okay. As we take a look at our enrollment and student demographics, during the 24-25 school year, Lincoln had a total enrollment of 289 students. Of those, 17.6 were multilingual learners, 20.1% were students with disability, and 49.8 identified as Hispanic Latinx. Roughly 20.1 of our students were considered socioeconomically disadvantaged. As we moved into the 25-26 school year, our total enrollment has decreased to 286 students. However, even with the slight decrease in enrollment, our student demographics have remained fairly consistent. Lincoln continues to serve a diverse group of learners with strong representation in the multilingual and special education students. As we plan ahead, our focus remains on ensuring equity, maintaining strong academic support, and meeting the needs of every student we serve. For the next few slides, I will be sharing our 24-25 CAS results and student growth. Overall, English language arts performance increased from 48% to 51%, representing a 5% point gain over the previous year. Notable strength included a significant increase of fifth grade, which rose from 45% to 57%, representing the largest gain among all groups. English learners also showed improvement, increasing from 4% to 6%. The overall performance for the group remained an area that continues to focus. The opportunity for growth includes a decline among students with disability, with the results dropped from 25% to 17%. The largest decrease across subgroups. Additionally, third grade performance decreased slightly from 51 to 50, and fourth grade results remained flat at 47%. Moving forward, we are committed to targeting academic intervention supports for students with disabilities, strengthening literacy instruction in early reading interventions in grade 3 and 4, continuing successful instructional practices contributing to fifth grade growth, expanding our language development and literacy supports to all English learners. Overall, the data indicates positive movement in overall achievement, with specific areas identified for focus improvement. Lincoln will continue to build and sustain collaborative structures that have led to this progress thus far. Next, we take a look at Lincoln's CAS result in math. Overall, as we moved to the 23-24 and 24-25 school year, Lincoln saw growth in math. We maintained or made a 1% gain, moving from 56 to 57%, positive gains since 2018-2019 school year. Our English learners and fourth grade students moved overall growth, while we had some decline in our student performance groups. Our focus this year has been to determine specific areas of challenge and to increase small group interventions specifically pinpointed to the skills the students need. Next, we will take a look at LPAC data in specific reclassification. The reclassification of English language proficiency or data shows that school-wide performance remains steady at 8%. From 23 to 24 and then 24 to 25, while overall rates did not change, results varied by grade level. First grade increased significantly from 4% to 12%, and third grade showed the largest gain, rising from 4% to 13%. In contrast, second grade declined slightly from 10 to 8%, fourth grade dropped notably from 12 to 6%, and fifth grade decreased from 15 to 12%. Overall, strong improvement in the lower grades were offset by the declines in the upper grades, resulting in stable school-wide performance. At Lincoln, this growth reflects the ongoing work of our teachers to integrate language development into all content area, and the focus support provided through small group instruction and intervention blocks. Moving forward, our next step is to sustain early gains and provide additional targeted support for the emergent multicultural or multilingual students to ensure continued growth across all grade levels. We are now focused on chronic absenteeism. It's decreased significantly from 88.3% to 71.2%. With improvement across all grades, the largest gains were in TK, grade 1, kinder, and grade 4, while grade 5 showed the smallest decline. As of February 2026, rates are much lower across all grades, indicating continued positive progress in student attendance. Despite this progress, increasing attendance remains a priority. Lincoln will continue to strengthen family communication, implementation of early intervention and outreach for students with emergent attendance concerns, recognizing and celebrating improved attendance, and providing targeted support to remove barriers to consistent attendance. And while this is not mentioned on this slide, I am pleased to share that we currently have no student suspensions. iReady data. iReady is a comprehensive online program designed to improve reading and mathematics skills through adaptive diagnostic assessments and personalized instruction. It adjusts to each student learning level, providing a tailored lesson that helps monitor progress and address specific learning needs throughout the school year. I will be discussing the data from the beginning of the year, which is our baseline, our second diagnostic in the fall, and our most recent data, the winter diagnostic. When we look at this data from the beginning of the year to the fall diagnostic window, both reading and math data show overall improvement in student performance. In reading, the percentage of students performing at or above grade level increased, while the proportion of students 2 or more grade levels decreased. Notably, students in the most at-risk category dropped from 16% at baseline to 7% in the fall, indicating positive early year growth. In math, were also improvements at the top performance level, with students reaching mid or above grade level and early to grade level compared to the baseline. While a large portion of students remained 1 grade level below, the percentage of students 2 or more grade levels below declined, suggesting that targeted instruction and intervention at the beginning helped close those gaps. Overall, the data reflect encouraging early progress in both reading and math, with fewer students in the lowest performance bands and more moving towards grade level expectations. Moving to winter results, although the closing window to administer is not until a couple of days from now, this Friday, early finishers are indicating the following. The 5th grade winter reading results show meaningful improvement when compared to baseline data. The percentage of students performing mid or above grade level increased from 14% of the baseline to 32% in winter, more than doubling the number of students meeting or exceeding expectations. Additionally, students performing early or on grade level remain relatively strong at 23%, indicating continuous progress towards proficiency. At the same time, the percentage of students 2 grade levels below decreased significantly from 23 at the baseline to 7% in winter, demonstrating successful movement out of the lowest performing band. The proportion of students 3 or more grade levels below remains stable at 11%, suggesting continued need targeted intervention in that small group. Overall, the winter data reflects strong growth in 5th grade reading, with more students reaching grade level performance and fewer in the high-risk categories, indicating that the current instructional strategies and interventions are producing positive results. The 2nd grade, this one I'm very excited, I want to showcase some of these. The 2nd grade winter reading data shows strong improvement from the beginning of the year. Baseline, the percentage of students performing mid or above grade level increased significantly from 20% at baseline to 60% in winter, tripling the number of students meeting or exceeding grade level expectations. Students performing early or grade level decreased slightly from 24 to 20, largely reflecting movement into the higher performing bands. At the same time, the proportion of students 1 grade level below declined from 36% from the baseline to 16% in the winter. And those 2 grade levels below dropped sharply from 20% to 4%. Notably, there is no student performing 3 or more grade levels below compared to the baseline. And that's something we're very proud of at Lincoln. Overall, the winter results demonstrate substantial progress in 2nd grade reading, with clear shifts of students into grade level performance bands and a significant reduction in the number of students in the lowest achievement category. I want to also highlight our 4 students are in the class of growth that they have made since the beginning of the school year in our winter results for 3-5 mod and reading results. The winter results for SDC grades 3-5 show notable improvement compared with the baseline. In the winter data, 67% of our students are performing at or above grade level, while 33% remain below grade level, and no student are in far below category. In contrast, the baseline data shows a more widely distributed performance. 33% of students were at above or grade level, 33% were below grade level, and 33% were far below grade level. This indicates a clear upward shift in students' achievement, with students moving out of the far below category and the majority now meeting grade level expectations. Overall, with winter results suggest meaningful progress in reading outcomes for students in moderate to severe SEC 3-5 group. As we look ahead in our Lincoln main focus area for this year, our first goal is to continue to improve academic performance in both ELA and math, aiming for that 5% increase in proficiency. We're also working to boost English learning achievement by 5%, raising our ELA scores from 10% to 15%, and in math 22 to 27%. Another key focus is to reclassify more of our multilingual learners, especially in the 3rd and 5th grade, where students are on the verge of meeting reclassification criteria. And finally, we want to keep reducing chronic absenteeism by continuing our early outreach and consistent attendance support. Together, these goals represent our commitment to equity, consistency, and growth, ensuring that every student continues to make meaningful progress. This is our intervention phonics pilot. I'd like to provide an update on our small group phonics pilot. The early results show measurable growth in fundamental literacy skills, and we're seeing positive impact for students who participated. I'm excited to share what's working and discuss next steps for scaling up this intervention. As a data-driven site, we're always looking at how students are progressing in their reading and math. After the fall iReady diagnostic, we noticed that 10 of the 5th grade students had gaps in their reading skills. We designed an in-school intervention in which students met 4 days a week for 8 weeks using supplemental lessons that were provided on the iReady dashboard. The 5th grade intervention program demonstrated strong growth across participating students. All 9 students showed measurable gains, with score increasing from 19 to 65 points. Several students advanced 1 or more grade level in vocabulary proficiency, including movement from grade 3 to grade 4, and from grade 4 to early or mid-grade 5. The largest gains were seen in students who begin at lower proficiency levels, indicating that the targeted intervention effectively accelerated the learning of those most in need. Overall, the data reflects a positive impact of focused vocabulary instruction and intervention supports, contributing to improved readiness for grade level literacy expectations. Staying the course. Here are our next steps as we move into the school year. We continue to provide intervention supports during the school day to close the achievement gap for students who are not yet at grade level. We'll also increase opportunities for grade level data chats through grade level collaboration, our SSTs, our IEPs, ILT meetings, and look closely at students' progress, identify those next steps, and make sure we're providing the right supports where they're needed. We've added professional development with support of our resource educator and strengthening both the academic and language development of our multilingual learners. Our Say Why volunteers continue to work with students in small groups, especially in grades 1, 2, and 5 to build fundamental skills. And finally, the addition of iReady to be included in our Think Together after school helps grow students beyond the school day. Together, these steps create a focused plan to accelerate learning, strengthen language development, and ensure every student continues to make progress. We will continue to promote community and culture by providing opportunities for parents and community to voice through recurring meetings, like our school site council and ELAC meeting. Our Lincoln's PALs remains a huge part of our success, and I cannot thank them enough for all of their ideas, enthusiasm, and ongoing support. With their help and partnership, they remain vital in the building of school culture and climate through community engagement and participating in activities such as our Newark Day Parade, Friendship Dance, Winter Wonderland, and much more. This year, there is an additional focus in utilizing our Think Together after school program to keep students constantly engaged after school. School events such as our Young Authors Night, Halloween Parade, Spirit Week, and Open and Back to School Night provide opportunities for families to see what is happening at Lincoln. And lastly, I'm excited to share that we're focusing our way on utilizing our Prop 28 funding. One in the first enrichment opportunities we are bringing on board is our Music Academy and offering banda and pop music. classes to students ranging from TK to 5, remodeling our theater curtains, projector systems to boost our theater performance programs. With that said, Lincoln continues to grow not just academically, but as a connected, vibrant, and inclusive community. I have the privilege of watching my students learn every day. Lincoln will continue to be our commitment and to make sure all students are successful both in and outside the classroom. And this concludes my presentation. Gracias.
Thank you. Wow, we have quite a few people that want to ask questions or make comments. I'll begin with Jasleen. Oh, isn't that? Oh, sorry, you're still teaching me how to use the system. Okay, we have Mr. Hill.
Mr. Sandoval, thank you for the excellent presentation. And when I was at CSBA, California School Board Association, when they had a conference a couple years ago, they were talking about, well, what's the key to producing excellent outcomes? And one of the things that they said is that the more time that the board spends on talking about academic outcomes, the more likely you're going to achieve them. And your presentation was chock full of that. And it was excellent, and I can see all the great work and the great progress. And I know that it's a team, and that goes all the way down to the students who actually have to make it happen. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Block.
Thank you. Thank you, Principal Sandoval, for a wonderful presentation. It's great to hear about all the amazing things happening at Lincoln. Thank you to you and the whole staff for making that happen. I had a question about this phonics pilot, which sounds like it's going super well. Are there any plans to expand that for next school year, or what's in the works with regards to that intervention?
Absolutely. One of the things that we actually just discussed today was how do we replicate that success in other grades. And so we want to be very strategic with what groups, and based on the winter results, we were able to identify 12 students in 4th grade. So just like we're doing with 5th grade, we're now doing that with 4th grade. And so we've prepared materials. I know Dr. Manriquez has been very supportive with this as well, and the team, and that's what we're looking forward to, is replicating these systems to make sure that students have positive growth and outcomes.
Awesome. Thank you for all the wonderful work.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Oh, well, I have to tell you, this is one fantastic presentation. I mean, when it comes to what I think needs to be in a presentation, you nailed it. You talk about the areas of growth from the beginning of the year to mid to now, and you note where things have gone well, but you also note where you need to focus on the future. So the fact that you have specific ideas and specific plans and specific areas of focus, it's obvious you have a great rapport with your staff. It just, I don't know, I'm just really blown away. I really appreciate this. I would like to know a little bit, though, about, because this is something I ask at all of these presentations, what percentage of students took your iReady test?
So at the moment, for the winter results, we're still finishing up, so we'll get more of that information at the end of this Friday afternoon. But it's usually all students take this assessment. We already started with students in kinder as well that are taking the baseline.
That is so important. You know, data doesn't mean much when you only have 40 or 50% of the students taking the test. So you, with that high percentage, you're nailing it on the data analysis.
Yeah, thank you. That's the expectation.
Mr. Aguiano?
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation, Principal de Sandoval.
Gracias.
Really, really excited just to see how you have your support back here. Your teachers, your parents, your students. And absolutely, and just reflects on what you're building. And Sofia Cruz, really, it takes a lot to be up here, a lot of courage. And if you wrote that by yourself, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's awesome.
Did you see their language arts progress? I mean, that's why. Yeah. It's a great reflection.
I did have a follow-up question in regards to slide 17. This information, it's broken down per student. Was this a pilot? And from when did this start? Did it start from, winter, or what exactly? How much time did you invest into this particular group?
So after the second assessment window, we looked at our data, and a part of what we want to accomplish is to make sure we prepared our students to go into our middle school. And so fifth grade was an area that we explored, and we came with 10 students that all had a common necessity, right? So what we did is it took about 8 weeks for this program, for this pilot program so far. First, we calculated, 3 to 4 weeks, but we started it right at winter, and we're like, oh, we're gonna need more time. So we continued the process, and we just wrapped up and collected the data based on this assessment that they just took.
Thank you. And you mentioned it's 4 days a week? that you-
4 days a week.
And is this, is it overseen by the resource teacher that you have, or is it?
She definitely supports with the data and the data collection. Our teachers, it's a collaborative effort.
And if you don't mind me asking, how many minutes do you invest in each child every?
Personally, for the pilot program?
Yes.
So I check in with my team. I do my walks and my visits, but I do got to give credit to my SAWA volunteers. Those are the ones that are with the students the majority of the time of this pilot program.
That's great. Well, I really appreciate just the broken down data in between, and that's what we want to see. We want to make sure that we're watching the progress from each individual child, that's really making a lot of, gains. So really appreciate, thank you. Great presentation.
Absolutely. I think besides the pizza party that I owe them, they're doing gains, and we're going to continue to work. I mean, I'm seeing those 2 students there with above 60 points of growth, and that's a lot. So.
And one last thing, just the engagement from these particular families, the parents.
Yes.
How much engagement do you see that's involved?
I want to say I have a lot of engagement. I think I'm there in the morning. I think I'm there as much as I can to interact. I think building community is one of the fundamentals. It's one of the pillars to make sure we have a successful school. I have, like I said at the beginning of the presentation, I have a wonderful staff, a wonderful crew, from the front to the folks that just support with everything, right? Grounds. They make this work possible, and I can't really describe the sense of community, but it's one that I've said across multiple times to multiple people. It's one that I haven't experienced before, and coming here to Newark, I'm definitely experienced a place. I call it a home, and the people, especially the people behind me, make it so that I want to continue to work and continue to do this work with them.
Thank you, and congratulations to everyone.
Thank you.
Ms. Jones? Huh? Oh, okay. Well,
It's fine.
I thought we were done. It's been a long day.
okay, no, Ms. Jones.
I was just going to say, thank you for all the data, and the iReady information was, that growth is just amazing. So congratulations to the staff for working so hard on that, and the students, because it wouldn't happen without the students. So that is phenomenal, that kind of growth. So great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I can go.
Okay. Next, we move on to public comment on non-agenda items. We certainly appreciate the public, and we appreciate your comments. Last meeting, we had several interruptions outside of the comment area. Please keep your comments inside of the public comment time. Otherwise, it's too disruptive of the meeting. So comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. We'll limit the total time to 20 minutes on non-agenda items. If there are more requests or speakers on a topic than the total time, the president may pause the agenda item and reconvene it to the end of the meeting. So without taking action, board members or district staff members may briefly respond to statements made or questions posed by the public for items not appearing on the agenda. So with that, we have Ms. Parks.
Good evening. As Newark Unified continues to face projected structural deficits due to enrollment decline and increases in expenses, I'd like to once again advocate for educating families about a way a school district is funded. Recently, a parent directed this comment to me on social media site. It perfectly captured the lack of understanding parents have about school funding. She starts off by saying, "I have twin first graders, and these are my first kids in school. I completely agree every school should take the time to teach parents what happens to funding when kids aren't there. Just straight up transparency would go a long way towards getting more families to enroll and keep their kids in school. I've even wondered things like if I pull them out early or bring them back late for an appointment, does that affect anything? Is there a minimum number of hours they need to be present for the day to count? I honestly don't know. Are we not allowed to get specific details on how the funding actually works?" When I wanted to give her a solid answer, I went to the student and family handbook. The only information under attendance is about excused and unexcused absences along with truancy. There's nothing that explains how attendance, or lack thereof, directly impacts the money that comes to support the school district. That's why I'm asking once again for the district to educate parents about ADA by creating a simple, straightforward flyer that spells out how the district is funded in plain language. Something that could be shared with every family at the beginning of the school year, back to school night, then sent out a couple times throughout the school year through Parent Square, and posted on the homepage of each school site. Transparency like this would help parents make informed decisions, reduce unnecessary absences, and ultimately strengthen the schools. It's a small step that could make a big difference educationally for the kids and increase the district's revenue. I believe Newark Unified can once again achieve that impressive 97.4 ADA enrollment to ratio that it had in 2019. And bringing back the full funding benefits that come with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Parks. Diana Whittleboard.
Hi, good evening. So I write my speech in Spanish. So I have a copy for each of you in English.
Do we have an interpreter?
Yes, but I have found like the translations are not quite like exactly. So I did my translation. Thank you. Buenas noches, mesa directiva. Mi nombre es Diana Whittleboard. Queremos que haya una comunicación clara entre el director del caso del IEP y el personal involucrado dentro de las instituciones, como lo son docentes y prestadores de servicios, ya que es evidente que en algunos casos no hay colaboración dentro de las clases. Los maestros no saben cuáles son las metas y las acomodaciones del estudiante. Ellos no están informados de cuáles estudiantes tienen un IEP o un 504. Esta problemática está presente tanto en la escuela elementaria, la media y la secundaria. De esta manera, vemos cómo se retrasa el desarrollo de las metas, generando confusión e impotencia, no solo en el estudiante, sino también en padres o tutores. Necesitamos que ustedes, como la mesa directiva, intervengan dentro del Departamento de Educación Especial, ya que es notoria la falta de comunicación entre la directora Amanda Gollinger y la comunidad. Es inaceptable que las reuniones y demás boletines de información no lleguen a todos los involucrados. Exigimos que dentro del calendario escolar que existe en la página web del distrito se incluyan todas las reuniones de educación especial y que además dentro de cada plantel escolar se divulgue esta información en el Parent Square o en medios de comunicación. Ahora, por otra parte, entendemos que la escasez de personal y la alta demanda dentro de este departamento esté evitando que se realicen reuniones mensuales con los padres o tutores del distrito, pero necesitamos de estas y no creo que tengamos que exponer el motivo, el por qué. Muchas gracias por la atención y esperamos que nuestras peticiones no queden en vano. Thank you so much.
Well, would you please read it in English as well?
Do you want me to read it? Okay. We request clear communication between the IEP, case manager, and the staff involved within the institution, such as teachers and service providers. It is evident that in some cases there is a lack of collaboration in the classroom. Teachers are not aware of the students' goal and accommodations. They are not informed about which students have an IEP or a 504 plan. This issue is present at the elementary, middle school, and high school levels. As a result, the development of goals is delayed, creating confusion and frustration, not only for the students, but also for parents and guardians. We need you as a board to intervene within the special education department. There is a clear lack of communication between the director, Amanda Gollinger, and the community. It is unacceptable that meetings and informational bulletins are not reaching all those involved. We request that all special education meetings be included in the school calendar available on the district's website, and that this information also be shared at each school district through Parent Square or other communication channels. On the other hand, we understand that staff shortage and high demand within the departments may be preventing monthly meetings with parents and guardians, but these meetings are necessary and we should have not to explain why. Thank you very much for your attention, and we hope that our requests will not be ignored. Thank you so much.
Mrs. Whittemore.
Superintendent.
Like it. Mrs. Whittemore, Mrs. Allard will be reaching out to you this coming week to set up a time to learn a little bit more about your concerns.
Okay. Guadalupe Vega.
Hola, buenas noches, mesa directiva. Mi nombre es Guadalupe Vega y vengo acompañada de un grupo de madres. Hoy estamos aquí para hablar sobre los retos que estamos enfrentando dentro del Departamento de Educación Especial al cual pertenecen nuestros hijos. Primero, quiero hablar sobre la demora de servicios en las traducciones del IEP. En estos momentos hay familias que llevan esperando por meses estos documentos. Las traducciones son muy importantes porque de esto depende el entendimiento de ambas partes y la aprobación de los servicios, más la ejecución de las metas del mismo. En algunos casos, estos IEPs son ejecutados sin las firmas de los padres o tutores. Necesitamos diligencia, tanto en el servicio como en la precisión de la traducción, ya que algunos de estos sistemas son erróneos e ilegibles por su comprensión. Esto entorpece la comunicación y el avance de nuestros estudiantes. Este documento legal es individual y aboga por el progreso de cada uno. Segundo, hablemos del servicio de traducción e interpretación al español durante el IEP presencial y remoto. Las personas que están a cargo de proveer este servicio carecen de conocimiento sobre educación especial, los términos y servicios, aparte que en la modalidad remota se hace aún más difícil el entendimiento. Muchas veces hacen traducciones literales que no tienen relación con el mismo. Esto dificulta la comunicación entre padres y proveedores. Este inconveniente también se ve reflejado en las diferentes reuniones que ofrece el distrito. Siguiendo esta idea, queremos resaltar el servicio que presta la señora Rocío Venegas, quien hasta hoy ha demostrado que es la única persona quien ofrece una traducción e interpretación clara y precisa. Esto asegura el entendimiento y seguimiento para las familias y proveedores del distrito. Ella es un puente de comunicación esencial en este proceso. Gracias.
Would you please read it in English as well?
Bien. Diana va a traducir.
My name is Guadalupe Vega, and I'm here accompanied by a group of mothers today. We are here to speak about the challenges we're facing with the special education department, to which our children belong. First, I would like to address the delays in the translation of IEP services. At this time, there are families who have been waiting for months for these documents. Translations are very important because mutual understanding between both parties depend on them, as well as the approval of services and the implement of the goals. In some cases, these IEPs are being implemented without the signatures of parents or guardians. We need diligence both in the timelines of the service and in the accuracy of the translations, since some of these systems produce incorrect and unreadable translations. This hinders communications and the progress of our students. This hinders communications and the progress of our students. This legal document is individualized and advocates for the progress of each student. Second, let us talk about Spanish translation and interpretation services during in-person and remote IEPs meetings. The individuals responsible for providing this service lack knowledge of special education terminology and services. Additionally, in the remote format, understanding becomes even more difficult. Many times, they provide literal translations that do not reflect the intended meaning, which complicate communication between parents and service providers. This issue is also reflected in the different meetings offered by the district. In this regard, we would like to highlight the work of Ms. Rocío Venegas, who to date has demonstrated that she is the only person providing clear and accurate translation and interpretation. This ensures understanding and proper follow-up for families and district providers. She is an essential communication bridge in this process. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you want to say something? Superintendent?
Yeah, I will have Mrs. Allard reach out to the families. Were there phone numbers included on those documents? Could I ask that we hand those back to Ms. Lemus and have the parents fill out a phone number just so we can make sure that we reach them at the contact? On your forms, if you could reach those back out to Ms. Lemus. I just want to make sure that we get phone numbers to be able to contact the family members. On the speaker cards.
Here.
That would be helpful.
No, they haven't given any.
It's okay, as long as we've got something that they can write their net.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that we have a way to contact you.
Agenda, okay. Thank you. Next, we move on to public comment on agenda items. Prior to the board's deliberation on posted agenda items, we will now hear comments on any agenda item at this time, or the speaker may speak later when the item comes up for discussion or action. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes each, and we will take comments for up to 20 minutes. So first, we have Sherry Garcia speaking on agenda item 14.1. That's fiscal and resource alignment.
Yes. Good evening. My name is Sherry Garcia, and I am the District Alternative Ed Counselor at Bridgepoint and Crossroads. I am deeply concerned about the proposal to close Crossroads. which is more than just a program. It is a WASC-accredited independent study school. Crossroads is home to some of the district students with the greatest needs that prevent them from attending and or being successful in classes with other students, such as social anxiety and or other mental and physical health challenges. The one-on-one instruction that Mr. Angelo provides these students has meant that these students have found an alternative school within NUSD that is able to support their needs, allowing them to work towards and earn a high school diploma, something that many of the students and families believe might not be possible if they had to attend classes with other students. For a lot of these students, even stepping foot on Bridgepoint's small campus presents challenges and high anxiety, which is why the independent study school is so crucial. The presented rationale behind closing Crossroads was because there's currently only 14 students with one teacher. To that, I remind the executive cabinet and board that as an alternative ed school, the recommended student-to-teacher ratio is actually 15:1. This is because studies have shown that students in an alt-ed setting require a smaller environment to support in their success academically and emotionally. Furthermore, if the district is truly concerned about low enrollment at Crossroads, then why have they been denying every student who inquired about transferring to Crossroads this school year? There absolutely remains a need for an independent study school within NUSD. As a counselor at the alt-ed sites, and as counselors at NMHS can attest, we see and hear the interest from students and families who struggle with attending classes with other students. And if we cannot provide this option for our community, then we will only continue to see a decline in enrollment in our district. A prime example of this is a Bridgepoint student who was struggling with attending in person due to social anxiety. He and his parent requested to transfer to Crossroads earlier this quarter, but they were denied. As such, they have since disenrolled from NUSD to pursue an alt-ed program that will support their need. In addition to the proposal to close Crossroads, there's a proposal to eliminate one of the alt-ed office managers because the absurd rationale is that one office manager can run all of the alt-ed sites. As a reminder, we have 3 alt-ed schools at the McGregor campus: Bridgepoint, Crossroads, and the adult school. There is one office manager for both Bridgepoint and Crossroads and a separate one for the adult school. It only takes one brief visit to either office to realize how incredibly busy these 2 office managers are. They are both overworked and underpaid, and the idea that one person can successfully manage all of the alt-ed sites shows a true lack of awareness of the high needs and high demands of alternative education. I ask you all to please stop putting the alt-ed sites, again, those with the greatest needs and students who have proven to not be successful at a comp site, at a disadvantage and setting our students up for failure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Garcia. Okay. Ken? And this is on, pardon?
I'll wait for the agenda.
Okay. Tina? Okay. So that concludes our public, I assume, Ms. Parks, you want to wait for the agenda items? Huh?
You shouldn't assume things.
I shouldn't assume it, okay.
I'll speak for 13.3 at the time, but I want to talk to 14.1 now.
Okay.
So I just kind of feel, first of all, that that's a little bit out of order here. You have a presentation about cuts, but you're making the cuts before you hear the presentation. Now, I do realize that you heard part of it last week, but I don't know if you, I apparently didn't look as closely as I should have because I thought that the Crossroads position was removed. I thought during the discussion last week that you had determined that you didn't want to cease having that program at the site. But based on the language that's in the 14.1 slide presentation, which thankfully I took my script, printed it off, it does say on here that, get to the page, that reduction of the program at Crossroads currently offering supports only 14 students. It's been determined that other program within the district, Bridgepoint, can support the needs. So I guess I'm confused. Are you saying that the other program is Bridgepoint or that there is another alternative ed program that Bridgepoint can offer? Because as was mentioned, thank you by the counselor, wonderful, wonderful presentation, these students have different needs. And I just want to let you know that back in 2018, when the program was being promoted, it had 100 students. So we had a superintendent who, in about 2019, I think it was, that he did kind of pull back on that program, and now you're back to you're on down to only 14 kids. And I think that, again, for those that don't know the history, that was the similar way that Bridgepoint was run. Is there was a principal who was there who said, I'll only take 100 kids, and we called him the gatekeeper back in 20 years ago. And that was that program then, and now it seems like that's what's happening with Crossroads now. You're not letting students in, and you're saying, well, now we only have 14 students, so therefore we should discontinue the program. If you're going to meet the needs of the students, you need to offer these various different programs in order to keep them enrolled in Newark Unified, or they are going to leave and go somewhere else. I want to spend the last minute talking about the item that's on here on the very last page that talks about the 1.5 million that is that should have been cut last year. I'm not sure what that is. Are these positions that you have actual live bodies in, or these are positions that are vacant? Because that's what I kind of understood last time, but I just wanted to make sure, because you did have 17 positions that were voted on to be cut in February of 2025. And I want to make sure that they're not those 17 positions, that that 1.5 is definitely vacant positions. And you know for sure that they're vacant positions, so that you're not adding more FTE to the resolution that's 13.3 tonight. So just wanting to make sure that we get clarification and understand. Thank you.
Thank you. That can happen during these. Okay. So next we move on to the superintendent report. And for those families that have little ones, you're welcome to leave anytime or stay.
Next page. Good evening, community. This evening, I want to discuss a few things. That's has to do with the right sizing of our discussion and plan. This includes reviewing factors contributing to budget deficit, sharing rationale to right size, considering public comment and feedback, engaging in a discussion as a board, and then making a decision this evening to meet the Ed Code requirements. Next page. So how did we get here? Some of the contributing factors. The biggest one, of course, is our declining enrollment since the pandemic. In 2021, we had approximately 5,500 students, I'm just going to round, and in 25-26, we had 4,400 students. And then our projected enrollment for the 26-27 school year is at 4,186. So it's a significant decline in just, a few years, 6 years. We entered into here 2 years ago with a $14 million budget deficit. We've done a lot to correct that, but there's still more work to be done. We currently have 68% of our budget, which is dedicated to staffing. Our special education contribution, though, has increased significantly. Prior budgets rely on one-time funding and reserves. And staffing allocation hasn't followed the enrollment decline. And what I mean by that is we've been careful as we've been making the recommendation for cuts within our schedules. Last year's focus was more on the elementary. This year has been focused on our secondary sites within the master schedule. I do want to thank Member Thomas for her analysis of the master schedule and being able to take a look at that. We've been looking at the class size ratios to the teachers that we have there, and so the recommendations are before you this evening. Alameda County provided a change in our actual enrollment across Alameda County. As you can see, we are one of the higher districts with a higher number of students that have exited. We're sitting at a little over 15%. The rationale for right sizing is that our schools are getting smaller. Our enrollment is less. We can't predict some of those requirements. As a matter of fact, last year we thought it would be about 150 students based on what our averages had been over the last couple of years. turned out to be over 250. That means 100 more students that we missed when we actually did our budget projections and you did your budget adoption. This district is being carefully watched by the county. The district and board has received a letter at our budget adoption and first interim. The possibility of increased county and state fiduciary oversight and scrutiny could come if we don't continue to think about the fact that we do have a smaller enrollment and additional staffing and not being able to live within the actual total allocation of our budget. The possibility of so delaying any action could result in growing the annual deficit and increasing the scale of future reductions. So it's important that each year we go back and we try to keep honing in, taking a look at where students are, how many students are in each of our classes, and trying to make sure that we hit those right sizes. We also have tried to do right sizing amongst our elementary schools and try to keep them as even as possible. It's another element that the board asked us to try to do to make sure that they stayed as even as possible. And even with Lincoln this past year, it was our overflow school because it would have dipped significantly lower if we hadn't made it our overflow school. Some timelines with regards to communication. Human Resources hosted 2 meetings on January 26th and February 5th, informing our temporary and probationary staff of the possibility. HR also informed NTA proposed budget cuts on February 6th, and HR informed CSBA budget cuts on February 10th. The intent was to inform employees in person and not make it a surprise to them that their name would be showing up on an agenda or their position. It's not their name, but it's their position. And because we're so small, sometimes it's easy to figure out who goes with the position and who the names are that go with it. Our actions are governed by the California Code 44955, 44949, and 45308. And we've got certain timelines that we've got to be able to meet to be able to do these reductions or for reduction considerations as we develop our budget. The final actions actually come later on in the year. So it gives us some time to be able to sit there and make some of those adjustments as we learn more about the budget implications that will be coming from the state. And it also gives us a chance to be able to pull things back in case we don't have it right, or in case there's additional money, or in case there's some additional resources that we can align on. But you only get one opportunity in order to be able to make sure you can make your reductions by a certain date and at least give early notice. Decision to right size is hard. Behind every reduction are real people. I've been doing this for a lot of years. I gotta tell you, it never gets easier. It feels very emotional. It feels very concerning, and I can appreciate the many people whose names and positions are tied to these reductions. We try our best to do it through attrition when we have the attrition opportunity, and we look at those vacancies to see how we can either realign the work, or do we really need to have the position, or is it one that we need to hold off on a little bit longer to see how far we can either shift it to make it work. These decisions weigh heavily because it's about staff, students in our community, and here in Newark, it's really local. We are not at a point of drastic measures. We want to be able to do this slowly each year to make sure that we make the adjustments that go along with our declining enrollment. But our declining enrollment isn't in the 10s and 20s, it's been in the hundreds. That makes it a little bit more significant. Yet there is still a sense of urgency in which the board needs to respond because we do have a deadline date of where we need to be able to get out notices properly to those that will be impacted. Tonight's decision gives you some opportunity. You can review staff's recommendation from the last board meeting and with the board's requested edits and changes, which are before you this evening. Further revise staff recommended list and not cut as many positions. We could do that. You could vote and finalize resolution 2025-26 for 0.22 for particular kinds of services, or you can make no decisions at all. We need your guidance. Staff is asking that you consider making the recommendations that are before you this evening. We recognize that they are difficult. We recognize that they are personal. And we recognize that it is hard on the changes that we have to make here systematically for our school district. Thank you.
Should we be making a change in the order of the agenda per Ms. Parks's recommendation?
I'll ask Mr. Williams to speak on that.
The 13.3, which is the resolution referencing, is identifying credentials that we believe that we are going to have to reduce. Doesn't mean these will have impact on any of our permanent or probationary staff. It's a requirement that we're supposed to identify what reductions of credentials we have. For example, we might be reducing 2 social studies credentials because of the needs at the site, and increase 1 math. So it's not an apples for apples ratio. It would be up to the board if you'd like to hear the presentation before the resolution, but I believe it can go in either order.
I mean, I think it would make sense to have the presentation go beforehand then, just so we can get some additional information about that before voting on that resolution, if that's permitted then. I would move then to move item 14.1 up before item 13.3 then, if the board agrees.
I agree. I'm fine. Okay. I don't know does that require a vote? Would someone make that motion just to make sure we're doing it right?
I'll make a motion to move 14.1 up to fall underneath 13.2.
Second.
Fall before 13.
No, actually. Fall after 13.2, before 13.3, the resolution.
Okay. Please vote. Just a moment. How do I? Student board member, how do you vote? Yes, student board member votes yes. So it's 6 ayes. Thank you. Okay, then we move on to new business. Item 13.1, RFQ for architectural services. Superintendent?
Yes, thank you. This evening before you is the recommendations for architectural services. I want to share with you that we had 17 proposals that we received on November 7th. Staff spent a long time going through them. With that, we interviewed.
Oh, Superintendent, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I saw superintendent report, but I didn't see 11.2, which is following the superintendent report. So it shouldn't be under the superintendent report, but maybe it is part of it, right?
It should be under the superintendent's report.
Yeah, okay,
For the
so-
asset man, we skipped over it.
Yeah, so do you want to back up to that?
Thank you. So this evening before you is a question on the asset management element of our plan and moving forward. We are prepared to bring you 3 different firms for you to be able to interview. Initially, it was thought that the entire board wanted to be able to interview those. I know you've got a very tight schedule. We want to stay on task. We do have a subcommittee, and I wanted to just get a sense from the board as to when your availability would be for the 5 of you to be able to get together to be able to actually interview the asset management. Probably take approximately about 2 hours, I would think, with 3 different firms moving forward.
Am I to understand that all 3 firms can be selected?
No, all 3 can't be selected, but you would interview all 3, and then you would select one firm to be able to do the asset management element.
Oh, this is for asset management. Sorry, yes, I know, I understand.
Yeah.
I believe Member Hill and myself were the asset management subcommittee.
The subcommittee now, I believe, is Hill and Block.
I got off, okay. So I'm fine with the 2 of them, given that I recently tried to get everyone to commit to 1 day for a meeting or one time for a meeting, and it was very difficult. So my recommendation would be that we have Mr. Block and Mr. Hill do the interviews and make the recommendation.
And I think it would be a similar rigorous process that we did when we were selecting the attorney for our asset management program as well. So I
Right.
think we would probably follow a similar type guideline, and I could work with them to be able to get that scheduled.
Yeah.
Would that be acceptable?
Yeah, I was involved in that, so I just kind of carried
that's-
myself over. Sorry. Member Hill.
And I just want to confirm with the other board members as well that they feel comfortable with that, because if you do want to participate, I mean, I don't think that Member Block and I have any issues, but if you want to delegate, that's fine too.
I think it's taken a long time, and we need to get moving on this, and that's the best way to move forward.
Fantastic. I'll work on dates and scheduling with the attorney.
Thank you. Okay, now we move on to architectural services.
Thank you. So looking at item number 13.1, we are excited to bring back to you 4 different firms. This was after a rigorous process that started in November with an RFQ for proposals that was done. We had received 17 proposals. Staff reviewed the proposal lists and the criterion that we used to be able to score those firms. 8 were selected for an interview. Of the 8, 4 are being recommended to the Board of Education to be considered for future architectural services and engineering type services that would go along with it. Most of the companies do outsource their engineering. I do want to share that with you. I don't think any of the firms that we interviewed or that their proposals have their own in-house engineering for the most part. It's all done outside. I will tell you the experience was great. We included the attachments for their proposals, so you can see where the other types of services that they've done in other school districts. They're all Northern California school districts that we're recommending. And 3 of the 4 had also done pools, which is one of our bigger elements that we would be doing coming up in this next phase. It was exciting to see that they had taken time to really review not only our facilities master plan and the recommended list from the board, but they also took time to really go back and take a look at the bond and also some of the past bond work that had been done here in our district. And so it was great to hear them really talk about looking at our modernization elements that we need to bring forward, more so than just trying to just go off and just create new structures. Like, they really seem to understand our scope of work of what we need to do, and that the bond was actually designed to be able to help and support our schools with. So that part was pretty exciting and a good conversation. And so before you this evening are 4 different firms. You have 196 Architects, Finney Architects, HY Architects, and SBA Architect Services.
So do we have to vote on this?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Mr. Hill? Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Superintendent. Just 2 questions. One is, when we engage an architect, are they also going to be acting as the prime, right? So are they basically in charge of the whole project, and then they're going to subcontract, or are they purely in charge of the architectural component?
It depends. I think it depends on the scope of work that we're doing, because we were also looking to bring on a project manager who actually be overseeing other elements. That project manager would be someone that would be reporting back to the board. So I think it depends on the scope of project. I mean, if it's something along the sides like replacing sewer lines, it might be more engineering work that they're working in conjunction with, and then having to file with DSA for any kind of changes that would go along with it. If it's something that's more structural in nature, like the swimming pool, for example, it's going to require going back to DSA. There'd be architectural services. So I think each project will have to be broken down somewhat separately, and each of the different architectural firms would be contacted to be able to provide a proposal based on those kinds of services to be able to work with.
Okay, great. And then the second question is this acting kind of like as an approved vendor list, right? So where essentially we pre-qualified these people, and then they're kind of on call available when projects come up. We go out and we send the proposal to each of them. They bid on it, and then whoever makes a decision.
That's correct.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And that's what we had talked about early on, is creating a pool that would allow for us to do that.
So, Ms. Jones?
So just to clarify, when we, by selecting these four, that if we have a particular job, it goes out and then we're able to choose which one of these companies will perform that particular project?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you very much.
And I'll use the swimming pool as the big example, because that's probably the biggest thing on the list that we're looking at right now is probably that swimming pool project.
Great. So I would entertain a motion, if there are no other comments, to approve item 13.1, architectural services.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Member Jones makes the motion. Member Anguiano seconds. Please vote.
This one first. Then that one.
Member Tor, how do you vote?
got a
Student member
thumbs up.
votes yes. Okay, we have 6 ayes. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Next, we move on to 13.2, the ballot for CSBA Delegate Assembly.
Thank you. Before you this evening, Board, is the ballot from CSBA. There are 3 names on the ballot, and there is one that is a member at large that could be filled in and be recommended if you wanted to nominate your own board member here to be added to this list. But with that, staff recommends that you consider the 3 names that have submitted to be able to participate in the delegate assembly.
Yeah, so I'd like to say that I'm on the Delegate Assembly, and it's a very interesting and good process that we go through twice a year to give input to the CSBA and by extension to provide a voice for all districts in the state. And I'm disappointed that there's an empty seat there, that there's not more board members that want to be on it. But having read all of the vita, there's one that was very minimally answered, and I'm not sure I would vote for that one. I'd have to look at it, but given that we have 4 openings and 3 applicants, I would recommend that we approve the 3 applicants.
I guess.
Ms. Jones?
I would ask, do we have to approve all of them, or can we vote for 2 of them if we wanted to vote for 2 of them or 1 of them?
Certainly, I think we could vote for 2 of them.
Okay. I mean, I had one in particular that I was thinking about, not realizing we needed to vote for more than one. So,
Is there one that you would recommend we not vote for?
probably the same one you're thinking of, because I noticed the same thing.
It's hard because I was trying to bring up the agenda so I could look at the attachments and refresh my memory. Do you have it up?
I can share with you the names if you need the names. You have Charlie Jones from Pleasanton, Kyla Senegal from San Lorenzo, and Christian Vanderhoo from Livermore Valley Joint Unified School District, and there's one at large if you would like to.
I would recommend that
Right.
we do not approve Christian and that we approve the other 2.
I agree.
So I heard a motion from Member Thomas and a second from Member Jones to recommend the approval of Charlie Jones and Kyla Senegal.
Yes.
Yes.
Any
So,
other?
how do I get the?
What do you need? Vote? That vote button right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then do that.
Okay, start voting, please. Okay. Student board member, how do you vote? Yes, okay.
Okay. Great.
And 6 votes, thank you. 6 ayes, thank you.
this is to confirm Charlie Jones at Pleasanton and Kyler Senegal from San Lorenzo were your recommendations moving forward.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, next we get to move on to 14.1, out of order, as the board has approved earlier. Superintendent or Mr. Williams?
Yes, thank you, President Thomas. In front of you is the fiscal and resource alignment plan that was presented on the special board meeting last week. It has been amended in certain areas. The first 11 slides I'm going to go through pretty quickly, as it's, none of those slides have changed. So I'll just go through the quick highlights, and then we'll get to the position recommendations. I know we spoke about the purpose and kind of the journey we went on since 23-24 and what steps and efforts were made to help close the gap related to funding. We continue talking about the impact of enrollment and what it relates to our fiscal funding. We did discuss the enrollment versus the ADA, which is the average daily attendance, and how the enrollment is the number of students that attend the school or enrolled in the school district versus the ADA is related to the number of days they attend and what rate we get related to LCFF allocation. Our next slide, you can see what the enrollment versus the attendance is related to our enrollment figures to the ADA over a multi-year span. We then had a slide that discussed what the attendance is as it relates to funding and showing the difference for 22-23 all the way to 2025, 2026, and the impacts and the differences. We did talk about our revenues and our LCFF funding sources and other funding sources that we take in through the district and the difference each of the years from 22-23 through 25-26. We then had a conversation about the expenditures and what is our certificated, classified, employee benefits, supplies, and such that go to running the functioning of the district. Again, through 22-23 through 25-26. We showed a visual pie chart that helps understand how our funding is, so you can see what the funding looks like as it relates to the school district. We then did a comparison slide that shows the revenues versus the expenditures and how the ending fund balance has declined since 22-23 through 25-26. We talked a little bit about the budget forecast, talking about first interim as it connects to the governor's budget, 25-26, and the out years through 27-28, and how our LCFF funding is at a negative when we get to the 26-27, 27-28 school years. We had discussed a little bit about average per ADA funding for 2025-26 and the LCF total revenue related to that for the 24-25 and the 25-26.
Just a quick comment. I was asked a question in preparation for this by a board member as to what was our ADA increase this past year. We increased by 1%. And so I want to let you know that we moved from 93, I can't remember the exact number, 93 to 94, but it was approximately a 1% increase this year.
We then moved on to staff aligning to the fiscal changes, talked a little bit about the timelines as it relates to March 15th, as we proceeded on to the recommendations for reductions, starting with the management staff. We talked a little bit about the dean position and how the position is closing due to funding that will conclude at the end of this school year. There was carryover from the school site plan from the previous year, and that's how we funded the position for this year, and that funding would not be available going into the future years. We talked about the reduction that already took place of a reduction of $25,000 as we modified the job description for the operations supervisor in the MOT department, reducing the cost and saving $25,000. We did make the correction in moving the behaviorist as it does fall in a management position. That is a position where the funding isn't determined quite yet. Once the funding's determined, we'll be able to know if that position will be able to continue, but the funding decision will be made after March 15th, so proper steps would be to notify the individual. Moving on to certificated staffing, right sizing, aligning staffing to student ratios. As we have declining enrollment, it impacts elementary all the way up to through the secondary at middle school and high school. Student ratios are based on the collective bargaining agreement, but how we allocate funds or allocate staffing for these sites are different. There are specific ratios for the elementary school, so a certain, whether it's 20-2 for TK, 24-1, or up to 34-1, depending on what level you're at. That's how we calculate what the staffing allocation is for the elementaries. For the secondary sites, they have specific ratios for each different type of classroom. Some of our larger classes, such as PE, can go up into the 40s-1. So we do an average what we allocate, and that's how we determine what loss is needed for the right sizing effect. And that's how we came up to the $1,500,000. Education program, reduction of the program at Crossroads currently, as we discussed already, is offering to 14 students. It has been determined that another program within the district, particularly Bridgepoint, can support the students and their needs moving forward into next school year. As we move on to the classified staffing, we did talk about the equipment mechanic. The district will continue to follow the same model of support that has been in place during the past 3 years. The bus driver portion of the position can be supported by the bus driver job descriptions, what we currently have in place, and the current position is vacant at this time. The human resources clerk, the services provided will be able to be distributed to the human resources technician with limited impact to the department. Grounds maintenance worker, reduction services due to the facility usage. The grounds department will be able to absorb the additional work with limited impact. Our custodians, currently we will be moving out of some of the portables that are currently on the different facilities. So those different facilities will not need to be cleaned or maintained by the custodians. Aligning staff to the ratios as well because of this impact. The reduction in room usage for both Newark Memorial and Newark Middle School will be able to reduce that workload, so therefore we'll be able to reduce the custodians. Office manager, reduction in service due to reduction in programs offerings. We believe that within the alternate program, we will be able to support all the programs that are on the alternative site with one office manager. We do have an administrative secretary. That is a current position. We believe that the reduction in services will no longer needed because of the way the structure works within that department and that division. We did remove the IMC clerk per board direction. The off-press operator was removed as well per board direction. We did leave the .5 driver position, reduction services from the Child Nutrition Services Department has been discussed this meeting and last. This position is currently vacant. It was also discussed at the last board meeting that there was not a desire to move forward with the storekeeper position, so we did also remove this from the list. We do have various positions estimated at $1.5 million to reduce from the budget. These positions were part of a reduction plan that was in previous years. The positions were not closed due to the variety of turnovers within the district. So we are just identifying these positions that we will be closing because they are considered ongoing funds. So we want to make sure that we call that out. These are not new positions that we're adding to the list. These are positions that should have been closed out in previous years. We're just recognizing that we're closing it, and that's a cost savings for the district for ongoing funds. Our reductions for the positions would be approximately $244,000 in management, $1,635,000 and some change for certificated. Classified would be $655,000 and some change. And then the position control reductions from previous years' recommendations through the reduction plan is the $1,500,000 that we discussed for a total of just over $4 million in reductions. Happy to take any questions.
Yes, we have several public comments. Tina?
Good evening, board members, executive cabinet, and community members. My name is Tina, and I am the current HR clerk. The executive cabinet, in making its recommendations, has not followed Newark Unified School District policies in preparing the agenda for the fiscal budget alignment. The board specifically requested that the executive cabinet identify which positions are vacant and which are filled, but I still don't see that information listed. I noticed that one position has an FTE listed, whereas the transparency in listing all the FTEs. I believe it would be helpful to the board to be provided with a detailed breakdown of classified employees, including hourly salaries and health benefits in separate columns. This would offer a better clarity. For example, my salary seems to be as it is $95,000, which is very misleading. What initiatives are the executive cabinet implementing to increase enrollment and support additional funding? And are these efforts being promoted beyond our website? My job as HR clerk is essential, as no one else in this district or amongst my colleagues has been fully trained in my daily responsibilities. When I am out on leave, my work is put on hold until I return. I am the only HR staff who manages the frontline management system, and my duties are not distributed 80% among my coworkers as previously stated. For example, I run a report that coincides with payroll, which can significantly impact over 300 employees, as well as the documentation required for those with negative leave balances. If this report, which only I complete, is not finished in a timely manner, employee payments will be inaccurate and payments will be unable to provide correct balances on each employee's monthly paycheck stubs. I'd like to present the board with my current duties so you'll have a better understanding on what I'm talking about. And also the first page is created by my department, HR. I would like to thank everyone for your time.
Thank you. Ken?
Good evening, board. It's nice to meet you guys. I voted for you. And this is the closest I've ever been to you. You know, I had a speech I came up here prepared to say, but in listening to your union staff, they've already mentioned everything that I was going to say. So really, the only thing I can really mention here is that you have a superintendent that was really just placed in a warm seat, that didn't really come from a background of running a district. And so with that in mind, do you really think that she's making the right decisions in running the district and performing the duties that will bring up enrollment, that will bring in the revenue that this district is needed? I have grandkids here. My kids graduated in this district. I came to this district from knowing that this district was family oriented with a great school system. I have a neighbor who had a problem with his fifth grade student, and they brought him to the district and could not get resolution. My next door neighbor takes his kid to Fremont School District because he didn't like the results he got when he came to the district to make a complaint about his fifth grade student. I'd say to you that when you're looking at these soft slides for a budget plan, think about do you have a superintendent in office that comes from a track record of running a district? Or do you have a superintendent that just filled in a seat? Not making any assumptions about your current superintendent. I have nothing against her, but I work in a corporate field. And when we get information sent to us that's inflated, not correct, not met with the proper departments to come to bring you a proper budget alignment with all the elements needed to make a good decision, we don't give that person the time of day. We tell them to go back, do the work, meet with your representatives to find exactly what the impact is and what it will be to your district. I understand that you're going to be having new personnel real soon. How is that he or she, superintendent that's coming on, going to be able to step in and run an office while they're steady trying to get their staff in line rather than being able to concentrate?
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Rather than being able to concentrate on this one.
Ms. Parks?
I already spoke on 14, thank you.
Oh, that's right. Okay, next we move on to, oh, Ms. Jones? I'm sorry.
Okay. I just want to clarify, when you're writing these amounts, you're including, are you including salary benefits, like the total cost of that position, including what the employee gets, but also what we pay in retirement and benefits and all that? Okay, just for clarification, that's why that number would seem inflated.
That is correct.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Mr. Hill?
Oh, wait.
Oh, sorry.
The other thing is I wanted to say I very much appreciated the fact that you went back underneath each one, gave us a little explanation and said if the position was currently vacant or not. And it's very easy to assume that if it, doesn't say it's permanent, its position is currently vacant, that there's actually someone in the position. So that was clear to me. Thank you.
Mr. Hill?
Thank you. Yes, just one question here. And I have the old presentation from the prior meeting, so I don't know, I didn't print out the updated one. But I just want to clarify that there was a slide in the old one that showed a summary, and then one of the line items was position control 1.5 million. So those are the positions that we're saying are vacant and that we were planning on eliminating last year, but for whatever reason, they didn't get taken off the books. And so would it be possible, because it looks like we're not making a decision on this tonight, this particular part, could we bring back a list of those positions in the next meeting, just so we can see and understand and make sure, okay, yep, fully understand what we're voting on?
Yeah, we
That's
can.
not a problem.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Seeing no, do you have a question? Oh, Mr. Block?
Yeah, so I just want to clarify the situation here. So this is presented as a discussion and information item. And so right now, this is just about asking questions and trying to better understand this. And the only vote that we're taking tonight is pertaining to the certificated staff. And then for other staff, that's to come up in a future meeting? Or I guess I'm just trying to understand the timeline here a little bit better.
So the resolution, the particular kinds of service resolution, we will need action from the board. The guidance that we get based on this presentation will generate what the future resolutions will look like on the March 3rd board meeting.
Okay.
Which will need action.
So you would still like some guidance from us right now about like our overall thoughts on this, even if we're not formally voting?
You are formally voting on the resolution 25, 26, 22.
For certificated, yes, I understand. But for
Yes.
the
But then there's additional ones, for instance, you'll have other positions as well that will be coming back on the 3rd. And so you'll have those resolutions before you too, based on timelines for March 15th.
Understood. Okay. But right now, we should be having any discussion and questions about this before we move on to voting on anything in particular. Okay.
Ms.
Go ahead.
Jones?
Are you done?
Are you finished?
I can come back. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mel.
So I just, as I'm looking at, oops, sorry. As I'm looking at slide 19, the reduction summary. So tonight the resolution will cover the classified portion of that. Is that my understanding? That this is the overall summary of everything, all the positions? Or is it the resolution is not specific people, it's just these positions in these categories we need to reduce by this many? I believe you said you were referring to it as credentials, which makes sense to me because these are all credentialed positions. So we're reducing the need for that number of credentials in each one of those slots. I just want to make sure I'm really understanding the difference between this one and 13.3.
So this one is talking about reductions within the overall system that has impact on certificate and classified, getting direction from you on how we want to go. The resolution is talking about credentials that we would need to reduce because it could have an impact on permanent or probationary staff.
Okay.
The future resolutions that you'll see will be related to specific individuals with their ID numbers of which individuals are impacted by the resolution and the decisions that you make.
Okay, thank you so much for that clarification.
Member Block?
Thank you. I think at this point, just looking over the presentation, I feel like I'm not yet at a point where I feel comfortable recommending the reduction that pertains to Crossroads. So that being the education program teacher as listed on here, and by extension the office manager position. I just think that we ought to have more conversation on this before making a change. I understand that the enrollment of students in that program, or in that school, excuse me, is low currently, but I mean, perhaps there's a way to re-engineer or reformat the program, or the school, excuse me, forgive me my terminology, in order to ensure that it's, meeting the needs of students. If there's concerns about the way the curriculum is currently being offered through Crossroads, then that's a conversation that we ought to have. We think it could be offered in a better way that's better for students, but I, for one, am not comfortable moving forward with those two in particular. I think that's something that we ought to hold off on for now before we can get more analysis, more conversation about the impact that might have on our students at the McGregor site. So that's just my 2 cents. I don't know what my fellow board members think on that particular topic.
Ms. Jones?
I'd like to respond on the office manager position. If we were to leave that on here, could perhaps it encompasses, let's say that, I guess what I'm trying to say is, if we reduce the office manager position, could we, if we needed to, bring like a clerk back in to do some of that same work that might not be, we might not need someone for a full-time position? Or, because I know some of the schools operate with an office manager and then a part-time clerk. So is that something that we, eventually could look at as a possibility if we were to say, because I know that school site, even though it houses 3 programs, it still has far less it has less than 50% of what an elementary campus has in terms of students per admin, per office staff.
You would make a decision, but ultimately we would have to negotiate what the impacts and effects would be. If you decrease hours, that's a different level of negotiation than eliminating in a position. But at the end of the day, we'd have to negotiate impacts and effects on the bargaining unit.
Understand. Thank you. And then and would the same thing basically be true of the Crossroads program? I know currently, if there's 14 students, that's basically 14 face-to-face hours a week that teacher is working with students, which if you put that in terms of, seeing 6 kids a day, that's barely over 2 days a week that they're actually having face-to-face time. I'm not saying that they don't do a lot of prep, because I know they do a lot of prep. I know they do a lot of, correcting of work, but the actual face-to-face for 14 kids, and I heard what they said about a 15-to-1 ratio. I understand that. Yes, those kids definitely have greater need. But it's barely over 40% in terms of face-to-face time. And one of the things that the board has always said is we really want the face-to-face time with our students. So is that something that we could, and I realize I'm talking programs and how to run it, but is there the possibility of tweaking that so that perhaps they're meeting twice a week instead of once a week, so that there is more face time, if we're going to preserve the program, that we're building in that face time that we have really asked for, that we feel is important. So that's just, these are questions, these are things that I think about as leaving or taking them out. These are questions that I have.
I can start. So the answer to all that is yes, you can do all of those things, but we would need to come back with you with a different model. Your opportunity to be able to actually reduce the section now, and then, like I said, you can crawl it back in May, or even sooner if we find something else that we're going to do differently. It could be a reduction in the person. There's different things that we could do to be able to downsize it to the current population. I think we can go back and take a look at curriculum. There have been some curriculum shifts to the program since it was originally WAS accredited, is my understanding. And this was a discussion that had happened over 2 years ago about the program. Matter of fact, we're one of the few in the area that even offers a program like this still left in the region. Others have let their program go. So there's definitely, I think, opportunity to be able to come back with a model and to be able to share that model with you, or else rescind the reduction in staff.
Mr. Hill?
Thank you. So I want to echo the sentiments that Member Block has made, and I'm going to date myself. So I used a long time, well, I shouldn't say a long time ago, some time ago, I used to be involved in building my own computers. And we don't do that this much anymore, although it's kind of a Silicon Valley heritage. But for those of you that have done this kind of thing, it used to be that you couldn't just go to the store and just get whatever you wanted. You had like some basic capabilities, but then you would add things. And I remember opening up the case of the computer and looking at all of these things and kind of staring in horror and thinking, okay, if I unplug this, what's going to happen? Or if I add this, what's going to happen? And it's pretty nerve-wracking, and sweat drips off your brow and sometimes shorts out stuff. And I kind of have that feeling here right now, where I understand that we that we're in a deficit spending mode. But I just think that we want to be really careful, and I don't think we understand enough of the potential impacts related to a lot of these cuts. And I think that it would be, and I don't think that we're in an immediate emergency crisis. And as I look at things, because if we looked at the prior year and we looked at forecasts, we initially thought in the prior year that we were going to lose, what was it, $3.3 million in revenue. But when the actual numbers came in, the final actual numbers, we only lost $800,000. So that was a variance of $2.7 million positive. So in other words, we over forecast how much revenue we were going to lose, and kind of the same went with expense. And so my feeling is that past is prologue, and you're not going to have like just dramatic changes to things unless we have an earthquake or something, or just something, or a pandemic, or something crazy like that. But other than that, the numbers should be changing incrementally, but not drastically. And so what I would suggest is that although we might not cut as much as we would like right now, I think that we have enough money in the bank to see us through so we can look at a lot of the impacts related to this. And I look at the position control situation, which Superintendent and Mr. Williams have said they're going to bring back. And if it's truly, if these positions are vacant and they've been vacant for more than a year, I think it's a pretty safe assumption that work is getting done there. I mean, if it weren't, right, we'd be hearing people scream. And so those would probably be areas where we could safely cut. So we can easily take 1.5 million out just with those pieces, and then leave the remaining pieces for an evaluation for this coming year. Because what I'm just nervous about is that I don't think I shouldn't say we, at least the board, doesn't understand all the things that go into these various positions in some of these programs. And I just feel reluctant in making cuts until I learn more about that. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Mr. Anguiano?
Thank you. Just to echo what our fellow board members just mentioned, I think that we should revise. We should look at this particular program, the reduction of the program at Crossroads, the school. In regards to the support, when we have students, when we have family that need that additional support, and you know how hard it is for individuals to really take the time. The 14-to-1 ratio is one thing, but you create this particular relationship with these talented individuals that you need to really dedicate the time. And for me, having family members that are gifted or talented, we need to dedicate time to these students. We really do. And taking a program away, a school, or to modify it, we could definitely sit down, revise, and see how we could go ahead and implement to better support this particular school.
Okay. My concern with the Crossroads situation is that it hasn't been well thought out. It hasn't been planned. The statement that those students can be accommodated at Bridgepoint was refuted by one of our speakers. And so I don't know who to believe. I don't know what to believe. And so I think that also it's a little concerning that students have been turned away that have been requested to go to the program, and yet the program still exists. So I would like to wait on this one, this decision as well. Mr. Hill, did you have your? So where does that leave us?
Can I speak? So I think we're going to need to be specific, right, to provide like more specific guidance to y'all about like where, like exactly on this list we're making modifications. Is that correct? Just to guide future action. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So are we in agreement then as a board that the education program teacher, as we have it on here, we'd like to remove from the list?
I can agree to that, but I don't agree to keeping the office manager.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you
I
want
agree with
to
that.
say? Okay, so the education program teacher, we agree? Yeah, okay, so we'd like to remove that one from the list.
Gone.
Okay. Then the other position was the office manager. Could you say some more, Mr. Williams, about that position and how the thing that we need to really understand is how the work of that position is going to be done in the future after the end of this year?
So if you look at how we staff the rest of the district, we have a high school, it's about 1,200 students. Many staff members has one office manager, though they have support staff, but there's one office manager. We have a middle school, one office manager. All of our elementary schools have one office manager, and our smallest elementary school is just below 300 students enrolled. We believe because of the enrollment in all the programs that the workload could be absorbed by one office manager that could support all programs at the site. which would involve some of the adult education programs as well.
I think the office manager should stay on the list. What do you think?
They are entirely different.
Please, this is a member of the board, this is a meeting of the board and not a meeting of the public.
The other piece to doing a reduction is that we do have an obligation to make sure that we meet with the union and talk about the impacts. That's the other piece that happens once you do your reduction decisions, that has to occur. And we would have to sit there and negotiate that back and bring that back to the Board of Education as well. I do think it's possible that if there was a need to bring on additional help or support, that's something that we can go back and take a look at if there's a need there for that. But the program has, the overall services has declined significantly from what it was in the past.
Yeah, I know our adult education program is just a shadow of what it was in the past. Our enrollment at Bridgepoint is continually going down as well. So board? Pardon? Why don't you ask, because I didn't know what you said.
That's okay.
Sorry.
So the question would be, do you feel that you have the clarity on what we are thinking at this point on this so that we can move on? Do you have enough information?
I think what we heard is that the educational program for Crossroads will remain for this year, but you're also asking for us to bring back some additional information as to how alternative programs could work for our students. So I think I heard that loud and clear. We are prepared to bring those ideas forward. And I think in the future, I think there'll probably be a different model that you need to consider for the better educational services that all of you have given us as goals to make sure that every student leaves here prepared for a future and a world out there. And I think there's more work that we need to give to those students to ensure that they have those services. And I don't think we've done enough, quite frankly, to prepare them to go out there.
Okay. Is there any other position that we need to discuss? Okay. So with that, this is only a discussion item. We will move on. To 13.3. Resolution for the layoffs. Ms. Parks, you had already spoken on this, or no? Okay, Ms. Parks?
Good evening. I think it's important to note that although the background language states that this reduction of particular kinds of services may require the termination of certificated employees at the end of the school year effective July 1, 2026, it is required that impact employees be notified by March 15th that their services will no longer be needed for the upcoming school year. Under Ed Code, the layoff employees have the right to hearing on their layoff. Following any layoff hearing, the board will take additional action to finalize certification layoffs in April or May. Laid off probationary employees have reemployment rights for up to 24 months, while permanent employees have reemployment rights for up to 39 months. If additional funding resources become available and/or there is additional attrition through retirement or resignations, positions may be restored and the number of layoff employees may be reduced. Many times this type of discussion focuses almost exclusively on the layoff itself rather than the rights and protections that accompanies it. I hope every employee who believes that their position is on this list understands that they are not without recourse. They have clear legal protection rights under the Education Code, including the right to a hearing, reemployment preference rights, and 24-month probationary employees and 39 months for permanent employees, and the very real possibility that positions can be restored if additional funding becomes available or if further attrition occurs between now and the final board action in April or May. Nothing is final on March 15th. The process continues and changes can and often do still occur right up until the board takes the final vote. I hope that they know that they're not alone in this process and that every protection the law provides remains fully available to them. Finally, I want you all to notice on the resolution, and I see that it was revised and you have a blue copy in front of you, that the FTE positions listed on your resolution totals 15.7. Yet further down in the resolution, it indicates that the 16.7. Was the error in the number of positions laid off, or is it the totaling of the numbers? Such inaccuracies undermines the credibility of the resolution and the process. Thank you.
Thank you. Staff, would you like to present this item?
Yes, thank you. In front of you is Resolution 2025-2622. It is a resolution for particular kinds of service. Under Education Code, Section 44949 and 44955, the Board of Education, through adoption of this resolution, may reduce particular kinds of services performed by certificated employees for the upcoming school year. The particular kinds of services, also known as PKS resolution, may require the termination of certificated employees at the end of the school year effective July 1, 2026. It is required that impacted employees be notified by March 15th that their services will no longer be needed for the upcoming school year. Under Ed Code, laid off employees have the rights for a hearing on their layoff. Following the layoff hearing, the board takes additional action, finalize certificate layoffs in April or May. Laid off probationary employees have the reemployment rights of 24 months, while permanent employees have reemployment rights for 39 months. In addition, funding sources become available and/or these additional attrition through resignations or retirements. Positions may be restored and the number of laid off employees may be reduced. The Board of Trustees is asked to adopt Resolution 2025-2622, layoff certificated employees due to a reduction in particular kinds of services for the 2026-2027 school year effective July 1, 2026. The resolution is reflective of 15, not 16 plus FTE. So I apologize for the documentation on the resolution.
Shall we make the correction on the resolution?
We will make the correction on the resolution.
Mr. Block?
Thank you. Just first had a question in terms of like how the calculation occurred, in terms of like how it was determined the FTE reductions that were necessary in each different subject area. How was that calculation made?
Yeah, so as I talked a little bit earlier about the fiscal reduction plan, there is ratios that are assigned to each of the elementary schools. And the prep periods that are associated with elementary school teachers in line with the PE specialists and or the science specialists was how we used some of the calculations for that. We have also been overstaffed in some areas where some of our specialists are not just using their science credential specific to teach students, they're using other things. Based on what was relayed to me as I was beginning my assignment here in the district, some of that was added on to assignments so that we didn't have to make any adjustments to those staff members. But looking at how we can strategically use our FTE fiscally responsibly, I believe we can have those reductions in PE at the elementary level and science at the elementary level. working in the single subject credential areas, working with the site principals and looking at what their projected allocation will be for the students that will be enrolled next year, looking at strategic plans for looking at more focusing on areas of need, such as maybe some of the STEM-focused areas for our high school area, looking at how we've had lower than required classes in some areas as we looked at data we received for these classes, looking at the middle school and how they've allocated previous years. They had some turnover in administration, so the master schedule was developed on the fly by individuals who are not currently on the campus. So speaking with the staff there, we were able to work with them and determine what would be the appropriate staffing related to the reductions. Some of the reductions at the high school will impact the middle school. Some of the reductions at the middle school then impact the elementary school. So it's about notifying people with certain credentials. So we have to make sure you're aware of what credentials that we need to reduce, that we can move forward with the resolution next board meeting. On top of the mild to moderate support needs, special education credential, I know that was brought up earlier this morning. Currently, we have many programs spread across the district, so we'll have some classes or some programs that are at capacity, in some cases over capacity as it relates to the 28-to-1 ratio. But then we have other programs at other schools that are smaller than the ratio or quite a bit lower as far as caseload. So we're looking at strategically setting up where staff will be to support our students of most need by also being fiscally responsible with our staff allocation for special education, which is where we came up with the 2 reduction.
Can I ask a clarifying question on the special education? So, what requires, or what is the, are there any contracted positions that are equivalent to these ones? And if so, could we not reduce one of those contracts in order to keep those 2 within our NTA? How does that work?
Absolutely. We will reduce the contractors, but we have to notify the community of what credentials positions we were reducing. So it's a position, not the person in this particular resolution.
Okay, so if we vote to approve this reduction by 2 of mild to moderate support needs special education teacher, that could potentially lead to a layoff of contracted people.
There will be no direct impact to our current employees for those positions.
You're saying there will not be?
There will not be impact for our special education.
Great to know. Cool. Thank you.
And just to remind everyone that those contracted positions are always tied to a regular position that we just couldn't fill, right? So you have to think about it in those terms there and looking at that. And so this is something we've gone back and we've talked with special education and also with our principals to make sure that this could be done.
Could you give me a little bit more information about the 2.8 Spanish teacher and the justification for that?
Yeah, based on the recommendation from the secondary level, they don't believe that they're going to need the same number of class offerings in Spanish. So that was the reduction that would take place at the high school, and then that would then trickle down to the middle school. But that was the guidance from the secondary based on their preliminary planning for Spanish allocation.
Also, if you look at the master schedule and the numbers that were inside the master schedule and how many additional empty seats we had, it's a matter of filling those seats.
Yeah, I noticed on the master schedule that the French teacher does not have a full load, and yet I don't see French on here. How are we going to populate the French classes?
So there still is a full-time equivalent at the high school that would be able to cover the assignments based on the analysis of what is believed to be needed at the high school based on credentialing needs. This is what the number was reported to us. And just because it's 2.8, as they do the course selection process in the upcoming weeks, if there is an increase to what is needed at the site, it doesn't mean that we can't restore the FTE. It's just based on the information we have at this time as it relates to March 15th. There will be guidance for the high school to start the course selection process earlier in the year. Most districts that I've been associated with start the course selection process in the middle of January, and you have a determination of what courses you will need by the first week of February. which makes this process much smoother, much easier for the employees impacted, but also for the system to build the schedule.
But have we done that?
No, the course selection process hasn't even started at the high school yet.
But I think like any type of courses that you have out there, right? Like you have to have, like you've got so many spaces available, right? So you're gonna be asking kids for their first and second choices. Down the line, you may want to have a discussion about what languages you want to be offering at the high school, and which ones are more viable in today's society. That's a bigger discussion for another day. And we're not ready to have that discussion here today, but I think that's something that in the future, the board should be weighing in on what are the world languages that they want to be able to offer that represent either our community or future for our students, that they need to have access to those languages.
Right. Mr. Hill.
Thank you. So building on Member Block's question about contractors, so I think what I heard is that we have positions, right, FTEs, and some are filled with full-time people, and some of them are being filled by contractors. And we're talking about, overall, we have too many positions. And so if we were going to reduce these, and we had contractors, it could very well be that the contractors would be the ones that would be released. Did I understand that correctly?
That is correct.
Okay. So my question is could we approach it a different way? So the beauty of contractors is they are at-will employees. You can let them go at any point. So if we actually believe that we are overstaffed, let's just lay them off, right? So and so then what the consequence of that would be is that you would have an open position which we wouldn't actively fill, and in many respects, it's kind of like the stuff that's falling in position control right now, where if we're saying that it's not really needed, we let it go for a year. Theoretically, it's encumbered, right? Meaning that is showing up on our books. But if at the end of the next year, we didn't really need that position, that money gets unencumbered, right? And so effectively the budget goes down, right? And so why can't we approach it that way?
So from a budgetary standpoint, it really impacts your second and third years out in your multiple year budget. So really you want to make sure that you are aligning your multiple year budget to be able to kind of do that check and balance to go along with it. If you have a need, it's something that we have to come back to you. And so, quite frankly, special education oftentimes has a pad within its budget. As you well seen over the years, you've seen the additional contribution. Matter of fact, we even carve out a line for additional contribution. In this case, we're saying that we actually don't think that we actually need to have these services right now. But if the needs or the number of students change that need the type of services, we would have to come back to you. I still think it's good to probably take it off your position control so that in your second and third years out, you can start to balance out those elements so that hopefully it keeps you from being either qualified or negative, which I think is really where you need to be looking at, not just for the current year budget that's coming up, but for your other 2 years out, because you have to solve for the multiple year budget. I think that's the risk. But it's not unusual for us to bring you back, especially with special education, if there's a need in a specific kind of service, for us to bring that back to you. And again, the first thing is always try to find the employee that would best fill that role. The good news is you don't have to bring back the contractors underneath the 39-month reemployment list that was discussed, and they're not going to go forward as being part of the administrative law judge process.
So are we ready to make a motion on this resolution? Okay.
I'll make a motion to pass the resolution as is, changing the 16.7 to 15.7.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Member Jones makes the motion. Member Block seconds it. Please vote. Student board member, your vote?
She doesn't. Yeah. Yeah, this was.
Oh, okay. Okay,
President Thomas,
yes?
that is with the adjustment to the 15.7 FT,
With
correct?
the adjust,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, that's 4 yeses, and Member Hill votes no.
That's foreshadowing.
Okay, so that was item 13.3, and so we move to item 13.4.
President Thomas, President Thomas, may I just say for a second, student board member is not feeling very well, and I'm watching her fade, so told her to get home and get her into some blankets.
Oh dear, thank you for being here, but
Feel better, Jasleen.
take care of yourself.
I'll speak loudly.
It's on.
It's on. Yay. Okay. Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Vicar, members of the executive cabinet, and members of the Newark community whom we serve. My name is Megan McMillan, and I am proud to be the bargaining chair for Newark Teachers Association. With me tonight are the members of our team, Sofia Cisneros, Paula Clevenger, and Raul Valadeo. Together with our CTA rep, Chaz Garcia, we represent the 223 educators that make up the Newark Teachers Association. An association currently working without a contract. We intend to remedy this efficiently and with a contract that gives our members, but most importantly, our students, the supports, protections, and excellence in education they deserve. Today, we brought the sunshine in the rain. We were out before our contract hours in tropical clothing, letting the community know that we were sunshining tonight, because we bring sunshine to every lesson. To begin this process, we're going to read our sunshine document into the public record. So the boring legalese. Pursuant to Article 8, Section 3547 of the Educational Employment Relations Act, please consider this to be our formal opening of negotiations between the Newark Teachers Association and the Newark Unified School District. The Newark Teachers Association believes Newark students deserve quality educators, support and resources for their social, emotional, academic growth, and safe, stable school communities. In keeping with these principles and to address growing needs, the association is opening the following articles of collective bargaining for negotiations, listed in order of priority by our members.
Article 13, compensation. In order to compete with neighboring districts, attract and retain quality educators, increase compensation and stipend amounts, as well as address health and welfare benefits. Rising housing, healthcare, and inflation costs impact educators' financial stability and ability to remain in the community. Fair compensation reduces turnover and ensures continuity in teaching and support services that directly benefit students. Article 8, class size. Acknowledging students' needs and in order to provide the best instructional opportunities and services to students, eliminate or reduce the creation of combination classes and class size reduction in TK through 12. Smaller class sizes mean teachers can better address varied academic levels, language needs, and social emotional challenges. Class size directly impacts instructional quality, making it a key factor in advancing district goals for student success, as well as retaining teachers. Article 7, workday. it is essential that the structure of teachers' work, specifically teaching hours and assigned duties, provides equity for all members, allowing for high-quality, student-centered instruction.
Article 14, safety. We seek to provide the necessary support, time, and resource to ensure that Newark Unified can effectively support both our members' right to a safe workplace and every student's right to a free and equitable public education. Article 11, leaves. The association's goal is to address leave provisions so that educators are supported in maintaining their health and family responsibilities, thereby ensuring stable, prepared, and effective instruction for students. Clear, equitable leave language is essential to maintain healthy classroom environments for all students and staff.
Article 18, special education, to ensure that all students with disabilities receive appropriate high-quality services and access to a free and appropriate public education. We must address class size, caseload sizes, and develop well-supported inclusionary practices that can be scaled to meet the needs of all the students in Newark. Article 9, evaluation and system of educator supports. In order to provide our students with the high quality and most effective instruction support services, it is essential to update and revise our current system of education and support provider evaluation. Article 10, reassignment and transfer. To cultivate a school climate and culture that provides students with consistent high-quality education in classrooms ready for learning the language regarding reassignment and transfer must be addressed.
The association reserves the right to create, add to, delete from, amend, or modify its proposals and/or open articles of the contract during the negotiation process. All agreements reached on individual items shall be tentative, subject to a final tentative agreement on the contract. Absent a final agreement modifying the contract, the existing contract language shall remain in full effect. Our team is glad to have 3 dates confirmed to be at the table with management beginning on March 25th. We're still waiting on a response from management about adding an additional date, preferably in March or mid-April. There is so much work to be done, and we are eager to begin sending and responding to proposals. Negotiations between NTA and NUSD management come with a recent history of storms. We are confident that our team, backed by the full force of our members, will be able to shine through to the best contract. To quote Walt Whitman, keep your face always toward the sunshine and the shadows will fall behind you. NTA is the sunshine. Let's get to work.
Thank you.
President Thomas, do we need to extend the meeting?
I believe, yes, but I believe that we can, we're going into consent items. I believe we can wrap that up in 45 minutes.
We don't have 45 minutes, we start at 10 without an extension.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I would entertain a motion to extend the meeting to 10:30.
I move to extend the meeting to 10:30.
I'll second.
Please vote.
Thank you, members.
Five ayes, motion passes. So next we move on to item 15, consent agenda personnel items. Seeing no comments or questions, I would entertain a motion to approve 15.2, the personnel report.
I make a motion to entertain and approve 15.2 personnel report.
I'll second.
Motion made by Member Anguiano, second by Member Jones. Please vote. Motion passes, 5 ayes. Thank you. Next, we move on to item 16, consent agenda, non-personnel items. Is there any item that a board member wishes to pull? Seeing none, I would ask for a motion to approve 16.2 through 16.15.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Member Jones makes a motion, Member Anguiano seconds it to approve 16.2 through 16.15. Start voting, please. Five ayes, thank you. So we next come to that part of the meeting where we have Board of Education Committee reports, announcements, requests, debrief, and discussion. And I'll go clockwise, beginning with Member Jones.
I want to say Happy Lunar New Year, which is today, so Happy Lunar New Year to all of our students and families that celebrate. And then also I wanted to say I went to Alice in Wonderland at the high school on Friday and really enjoyed the performance. The kids did a fabulous job with all their parts. It was funny, it was entertaining, it was really well done. The music was really fun, so I look forward to the next play and enjoyed. If I had been here this weekend, I would have gone again. I really enjoyed it. So, and I took my granddaughter with me, and she also enjoyed it. But it was great to see kids starting in 7th grade. They have 7th through 12th graders that perform in the performances, and the lead was a 7th grader I was extremely impressed with. So it was a lot of fun, and that's it.
Thank you. Mr. Anguiano?
Yes, thank you for sharing that. We did have the Newark Soccer Club, the league that all the elementaries went in and participated. We had a lot of children, a lot of families out there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I believe Kennedy went in and took both places, both for boys and the girls. So really excited just to hear that the camaraderie and also the, the extended family that goes out there and really just supports their children in the schools, but also outside of the schools. Just the coaches, many of them which were volunteers, just a lot of praise to them for participating, giving their time. But also today, I believe the Newark Memorial High School went ahead and both made it, like Member Jocelyn mentioned, made it to the NCS finals. They unfortunately went ahead and lost. However, it was a good run, really appreciative of all the coaches, the dedication, and also the support from all the families that dedicate to our students, our student athletes. So thank you, really appreciate it. And everyone that came out today to support our school, the spotlight, this is just one of the things that I really appreciate, just having the acknowledgement of the school with the principal and their community. So thank you for presenting today.
Thank you. Mr. Hill?
Thank you, President Thomas. So first off, just want to wish or hope that our community had a good Valentine's Day and President's Day weekend, and hoping that everybody is able to stay dry as we have the atmospheric rivers flowing through, but we certainly need it. And also just want to thank Superintendent and also the board for getting the asset management process rolling, as well as the architect process rolling. And so these are going to be foundational things for our community. And so, appreciate us moving those things forward. And then also looking forward to participating this weekend in our first meeting for the superintendent search. So we'll be keeping people posted about that. So thank you.
Good, thank you. Mr. Block?
Thank you. I'm really looking forward to going to the Lincoln Young Authors Night on Thursday, so I'm really curious to hear how that goes, and I'll report back about that. I was just had a small request. I was curious if we could just get regular updates about new enrollees for next year, just so we can get a sense of like what our numbers are looking like going into next year. Obviously we all want to be advocating as much as we can for increased enrollment, because that makes so many other challenges in the district easier to solve, and we can stabilize and even cause a rebound in our enrollment. So I'd love to just get some regular updates on that. That'd be really wonderful if possible. And I think related to that, I liked Ms. Parks' idea earlier about a flyer about like the impact of missing a day of school funding wise. And it doesn't sound like something that would take too much work. I was wondering if that's something that might be something that we could get going, just so families have a clear communication about, for every day that students miss, it's this amount of dollars that the school loses out on, and how that might impact their child's education. I think that's a very common sense, information campaign that we could definitely work on. Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Great meeting tonight. I especially appreciated the Lincoln Spotlight. Alice in Wonderland, oh my God, it was just amazing at the high school. I too went to it, and I can't believe it. The talent of our young people, and obviously they've had a lot of support with Prop 28 help, and it really shows. Oh, I mean, we can really be proud of our drama program at the high school. The other thing I'm asking for yet again is the demographic study. Have you been able to find it?
I know I have asked Victoria to take a look at it, to find it. Obviously, it was paid for last year. We want to make sure that we get that.
Yeah, and it seems like it's something we should be doing every year. Have we thought about asking for another demographic study?
I don't believe it's on our books yet for this year, no.
Yeah. So I think that's important. And this time when we do a demographic study, I hope we do a capture rate. Looking at the table you showed us earlier, that we have a 15% drop compared, much more than any other except two smaller districts, much smaller districts. It just, there's something wrong. We've got to look at our ADA, and we've got to look at our enrollment. So thank you. With that, Superintendent, your turn.
Thank you. Just a couple of things. Just a reminder that we have the City District Liaison meeting on Monday evening at 6 p.m. Here in the council chambers. So I want to remind our committee members of that. I too also got a chance to attend Alice in Wonderland. It was such a great treat, and to see our students and their performances, the music, just all the many elements that they brought in. It was just a really fun experience, and congratulations to our theater students. It was really fantastic. I too am looking forward to the young authors. I want to thank Karen Allard for her presentation at the city last Thursday. She had a chance to highlight the fact that we actually have the greatest gains that happened here in our county. I think it's something to really talk about. One of the things I know that the city's working on right now is a flyer talking about why Newark, like why now, which is like one of my favorite phrases. And we want to be able to put in the fact that we have had these gains that are happening, and so we will be working on a line to talk about student achievement happening here in our community, so that the realtors that are out there that are talking about Newark and property assets that are out there, and why you would invest in Newark, that conversation can be happening. A couple of other areas. I want to thank the great work of our educators. It was evident in the presentation when Mrs. Allard shared the results of what was happening. That's a direct result of what happens in the classroom and with our support staff. And I don't want to forget that, because that was the forefront, I think, of the entire conversation and what's happening, and it happens directly at our classroom level. I'm excited about the soccer clubs and that they had, and for the Kennedy boys and girls in their win, and congratulations on their victory. Special education basketball is happening on Friday, so don't forget about that. Please come out and come join us at Newark Memorial at 10 a.m. if your schedule allows. And then just a reminder that your CSBA survey is going to be coming out here real soon. You'll have a 2-week window when that comes out. I know you've got a lot of other homework that you're working on right now. I'll be working with CSBA to make sure that gets rolled out so that you have the results back for your special meeting on the 25th of March that we discussed having. And then just to remind you that we are still moving forward with some other RFPs that are out there. The next one is for our project manager. And so that piece is already out there and I believe is closed, and we'll be going through the vetting with that, and then hopefully bringing you back a name for a project manager to be able to assist us here at Newark. So I'm excited about all those opportunities. I do know that tonight was difficult. It's always hard to have conversations. The bottom line is we are reducing in size. The good news is our ADA actually went up a little bit. That's a plus. We really need to work, though, on getting our UPP up. I think there's also opportunity. I had one of our staff members who said to me that they wouldn't have had the opportunity to come to Newark if their prior district had not laid them off. And I thought it was an interesting thing when she said it to me that she got to come to her dream job coming here to Newark because of something that at the time she thought was so impactful and negative to her and her family. But as it turned out, she was able to push herself to go into a position that really makes a difference here at Newark. Took courage for her to probably come and talk to me about that. It was a hard conversation. I know she wants to be able to reach out to others and say that there's other opportunity. Even with the people last year, that there were layoffs that were impacted. We tried very hard to find positions for people to be here in Newark. The bottom line is we still have positions and things that we need to fill. But sometimes we have to make a shift in like where we're actually offering those services at so that we can offer the services that we need. I love what Mrs. Park said about creating an FAQ around attendance. And what does that mean to families? Because I think there's been a lot of confusion. I think I heard a lot of things too, most recently with our walkouts, where families are confused that they can just call in and excuse the students, but it doesn't really work that way on the back end of the system, right? So being able to explain something through an FAQ and trying to get out that communication is really important. But in that, what I was really thinking about, that with all these conversations that we're having around our ADA, we really need a position that's dedicated to pushing that. Because a 1% means $575,000, I think that, that Ms. Knudsen shared with us at our last meeting. So 1% increase in ADA means money coming in here. If it's a position that costs us $100,000, it would be valuable for us to be able to have that and to be able to have that community relationship. We also know that bringing in centralized registration has created a real difference. I gotta tell you something, we've got family members that are coming back in and thanking the staff. I've seen little bundt cakes come in and cookies and just the thank yous that have come in for the personalized services. They hosted an evening, they're hosting evenings on Wednesday evenings during this month. They also are gonna be hosting this coming Saturday. I know it's gonna be busy over the district office because I know you all have your meeting that you're gonna be looking at your applications, but they're also gonna be hosting the morning opportunity for families to come in and be able to register. That's something new that we haven't done before. And again, we want to make sure that we're welcoming our families to come in and that we can tell them about the services. We also know that there's been a strong uptick in Medi-Cal billing. So Medi-Cal is different than the new insurance billing program that we're going to. We've had Medi-Cal for a while. We've looked at the Medi-Cal numbers and they've actually gone up this year. That tells me that if I had somebody that was in tune to working with those families that are having the Medi-Cal needs, they might be our same families that have UPP that we're not collecting that data on. Again, there could be an opportunity there for us to be able to reach out and increase our UPP, which means a whole big difference in what we can do with our LCAP and our general fund funding, right? So to me, there's opportunity for us to be able to create services that we need, but really target the services to where we need to put it. And I don't want to forget that. And the people that are on these reduction lists aren't there because of issues that we're talking about. They don't have issues with us. They're good people. They've done good services. We want to make sure that if there's something that they can do that can be restructured, that they have those opportunities and that we make sure that we get them in the interview process and encourage them to apply for those positions that are vacant here in our community that we have not been able to fill. And we've got a whole host of things that we cannot fill here that we need to have those services. And I believe that we've got dedicated talent that can help us with that. So I don't want to forget those things. I think there's also opportunity that happens. And I want to thank the staff member that came to me and told me about, she wouldn't have been here in Newark if something hadn't happened in another district. And I don't want to lose people, but I want to make sure that if we've got services that are needed, that we're trying to redirect people into making sure that those services are helping us with our educational goals and needs. You have given us some real challenges and goals. That is for, as you know, from the presentations that you're seeing from our schools and the information that you've been hearing from Ms. Allard, that we are very targeted in what we're doing academically to be able to help our student achievement. You've seen great gains here in the past year and a half. And I'm excited about that for Newark. I'm excited for those opportunities. I'm excited to be able to tell the story of what's happening in our classrooms around kids to our community, because sometimes I think there's a different perception and it's not true. The good news is good things are happening here at Newark. That concludes my comments.
Thank you. And with that, meeting adjourned at 12:04. At 10:04, I mean. 10:04.
Good evening, everyone.
Yes, 9 o'clock. It was posted today, so we'll see you there. We'll have treats for you.